Chapter 122. After returning to the Yu clan castle, the royal swordswoman went to report to Jun Wu about the necromancer's appearance at the Eagle's Cry Valley in Guijianzhou. At first, Yu Yang thought that the reward would come soon, but he didn't expect Jun Wu to be so angry. He thought that the two brats didn't report back immediately after seeing the necromancer, and even took the risk to explore deeper, which was a big mistake. Although Yu Yang and the royal swordswoman returned victorious, he felt that they were extremely lucky. If they had met a lich or a great lich, their lives might have been in danger. This emperor ordered his precious daughter to be grounded for 3 months. Fortunately, Yu Yang could be considered to have cooperated in the battle and was led astray by his daughter, so he didn't receive any actual punishment. Jun Wu sent a guard to tell him that if Yu Yang wanted the water avoidance pearl, it wasn't impossible. He just needed to take a ranker's battle knowledge test. The requirement wasn't high as long as he could pass. However, this test that wasn't available in the academy completely stumped Yu Yang. Forget about him, even Yu Bing, who had been studying in Shangjing Academy for 4 years, couldn't help Yu Yang. Want to cheat? Sorry, it wasn't in the books. Some things seem to be very easy to understand. For example, asking what was the relationship between the purple gold twisted snail and the purple gold twisted screw? One was a shell-type beast, the other was a metal puppet beast's spare part. Who knew what was the relationship between them? Yu Bing also didn't understand. In the end, Yu Yang took the opportunity when the fifth elder came to ask him. In the end, the fifth elder solemnly nodded his head and said that the two were related, and the relationship was very big. However, when Yu Yang asked him what was the relationship between the two, this old fellow pretended to be mysterious. Even if Yu Yang secretly instigated Yu Shuang to pull his beard, he wouldn't say it no matter what. For example, there was a simple medical question. If a warrior was bitten by a sand snake beast, would the most effective medicine be the saliva of a sitting thornback lizard or the sap of a silver-handle white-hair tree? When Yu Yang flipped open the Beast Encyclopedia and Medicine Encyclopedia, he was shocked. Whether it was the venom of the sand snake, the saliva of the sitting thornback lizard, or the sap of the silver-handled white-hair tree, all 3 of them were highly toxic. A normal person would die if they were to apply a little of it to their wounds. Could it be that these things could really fight poison with poison? Yu Yang sweated profusely. Even Yu Bing, a top student in the academy, didn't know how to do such a weird theme. Where did she get it from? There were also some things that Yu Bing seemed to know but didn't, such as identifying the level of a beast, the quality of its magic crystal, the core of a puppet, the language of the abyss. Yu Yang realized that if he were to answer the question by himself, he would only get a 0. With Yu Bing's help, she could only get 10 points. Jun Wu must be so bored that his balls hurt. I hate this kind of person the most. If he had a treasure, he wouldn't just take it out. What kind of exam is this? Yu Yang was very angry in his heart. No matter what, he was the little prince of exams in those days. He was known as the grandmaster of cheating. Who would have thought that he would be defeated by a paper today? What made Yu Yang even more furious was that it was said that the imperial swordswoman could score 65 points on this paper. As for Jun Wu, the product of the perverted monarch when he was 182 years old, the imperial swordswoman's 6-year-old sister, the little lowly who played with sand with Yu Shuang during the new year, could score 80 points. This was too shameful. It was fine if he couldn't beat the imperial swordswoman, as she was being nurtured by the Xia royal family as the future empress. But he couldn't even beat a 6-year-old child. Yu Yang was deeply stimulated, and decided to go to the academy to cram. Weren't they just bullying him because he didn't have any foundation? If it wasn't him, but the pitiful guy who read books at home every day, he might be able to pass the exam. He had just crossed over not too long ago, so he didn't know about these things. If he had studied in the academy for a year, wouldn't these things be at his fingertips? Yu Bing, who had a serious bias towards other subjects, was also very ashamed. Other than knowledge about plant-type beasts, she didn't know anything else. Brother, I'll also go to school with you. But I'm transferring from Shangjing, so it might be a little troublesome. Yu Bing decided that she wanted to leave Shangjing Academy, which had the best conditions, and transfer to the worst Ivy Academy. Actually, she didn't care where she went to school, but she was still more willing to follow her brother. Ivy Academy was one of the traditional academies. In terms of guidance for plant-type and insect-type beasts, they weren't any worse than Shangjing Academy. It was just that the guidance for beast-type and avian-type beasts was far inferior to Shangjing Academy. Of course, this didn't matter to Yu Bing, who was only good at plant-type beasts. Looks like I'll have to write a letter to Anan. For the sake of his future blissful sexual life, Yu Yang wrote a letter to Anan, and gave it to a servant to send to the Thief Guild in the Warrior Gathering to be mailed. The letter was as follows: Brother Anan, as the saying goes, if one isn't romantic, it'll be a waste of youth. Therefore, we must seize the opportunity to pick up more girls while we're still young, and enter a blissful sexual life as soon as possible. I heard that there are a lot of beauties in the academy, and they're especially open. Once their passion explodes, sometimes they can't even wait to get a room, and would directly push down handsome guys in the garden, grassland, forest, rockery, or pavilion. In order to save these young girls who yearn for love, in order to help these girls who are tormented by lust, I, the great me, have made a decision. I've decided to go to school and properly guide them on love, so that they can walk out of their curiosity towards the opposite sex, and understand more about human relationship. At this important moment, I need you. Brother Anan, I've always thought that with a loyal comrade like you by my side, my battle strength would increase by 10 times, or even 100 times. Come, Brother Anan, let's swim in the sea of breasts together. He didn't know what expression that girl Anan would have after reading this letter. However, Yu Yang was sure that after Anan read it, she would definitely rush to the academy as fast as she could. At the same time, Yu Yang also wrote a few letters to Fatty Hai and Yi Kong. He didn't mention any beauties at all, and only wrote a few words in the letters. Go to school, Ivy Academy. When the family saw that Yu Yang, this troublemaker, was going to school, they really heaved a sigh of relief and sponsored him 100 gold. Of course, in Yu Yang's heart, he still felt that he had suffered a loss, because the Yu clan had obtained that giant frost dragon skeleton. Fifth grandfather said that this giant frost dragon skeleton could be made into a giant dragon puppet, and that it could be completed in about 3 years. He reckoned that it could be made into a bronze-ranked level 7 giant dragon puppet. Hearing that the giant frost dragon skeleton could be used like this, Yu Yang felt that he had suffered a loss. He didn't even think that this giant frost dragon skeleton was something that he didn't want in the beginning, and it was the Yu clan who had sent people to pick it up. Because he had praised Yu Bing for killing the giant frost dragon, Elder Yu Hai had specially praised Fourth Mother's parenting skills during the clan's feast. He suggested that the matter of Fourth Mother's parenting should be recorded in the clan's record of important events, so that the future generations would remember Fourth Mother's contributions to the Yu clan and make her the role model of all the women in the clan. Writing a daughter-in-law into the clan's record of important events required the elders to think about it again and again. However, Elder Yu Hai's suggestion during the clan's feast had shocked the entire clan. A mother's prestige rose because of her son. Because of Yu Yang's strength, Fourth Mother's position in the Yu clan had risen rapidly. No one dared to look down on or laugh at her anymore, especially those relatives or servants who had bullied her in the past. They all came to ask for forgiveness. Luckily, Fourth Mother was a kind and magnanimous person. She didn't bicker with them, otherwise many of them would have been punished. Now, in the Yu clan, everyone knew that Fourth Mother's position would not decrease for a long time in the future. Instead, it would become more and more important. This was because Yu Yang, this madman who killed people without batting an eye, had just risen to power. It was hard to say how powerful he would be in the future. Many people thought that the most conservative estimate was that this madman would at least be the second Yu Qiu. After his father, he would become the clan's second tyrant. Yu Yang still didn't attend the clan's feast. However, Elder Yu Hai had already arranged a seat not far from him. He was only below the eldest son Yu Shan and the second son Yu Ling. From this, it could be seen that Elder Yu Hai was very confident in Yu Yang. Elder Yu Hai didn't meet Yu Yang. During the clan's feast, he didn't mention Yu Yang at all. However, he praised Fourth Mother many times and gave her an ancestral record. On the surface, he praised her for being a virtuous housekeeper. However, even an idiot would know that this was the puppet manual that he gave to Yu Yang. Other than the ghost genius Yu Gong, this was the puppet manual that the Yu clan's 5 great puppet masters, Tai, Hua, Heng, and Song, wrote together. It was the Yu clan's treasure. There were less than 10 people in the entire Yu clan who had a copy of it. Eldest grandson Yu Tian and fourth grandson Yu Yan had always yearned for it. However, Elder Yu Hai and the other elders had never given it to them. Unexpectedly, they gave it to Yu Yang, who had almost become the enemy of the entire clan. This was the best proof that strength was respected. According to the Yu clan's tradition, whoever was the most outstanding would receive the most. The clan would also support him the most. It was said that the substitute clan master, Yu Shan, was not angry at all. He even led the applause and gave the puppet manual to Fourth Mother personally. He also apologized to everyone for the misunderstanding. When Yu Bing came back and told him about it, Yu Yang felt a chill run down his spine. This Yu Shan was simply a hypocrite Yu Buchuan. Luckily he wasn't Ling Huchong, otherwise he would be a tragedy 10 days later. Yu Yang and Yu Bing said goodbye to Fourth Mother and headed towards the Xia Empire's capital, Shangjing. Yu Bing went to the Shangjing Academy to complete the procedures to withdraw from school, while Yu Yang went to the Ivy Academy opposite Shangjing Academy to register. Compared to the tall and majestic gate of the Shangjing Academy, the Ivy Academy, which was only a street away, was simply trash. Other than the fact that the greenery was not bad, there was nothing else that was good about it. Is there anyone here? Yu Yang was worried that if he shouted too loudly, the dangerous wall of the gate would collapse, hence he shouted in a soft voice. It's all right, this gate has been like this for hundreds of years, it won't collapse. Don't worry, come in. An old man with a goatee stuck his head out from inside and waved his hands towards Yu Yang. Yu Yang sweated profusely. Not mentioning the fact that the gate of the Shangjing Academy was tall and majestic, there were also beautiful female seniors with sexy figures, handsome and suave male seniors, and also majestic silver-armored guards. This Ivy Academy was just like a ghost town. If they wanted to shoot a horror movie, they wouldn't even need to release any smoke. They could just start shooting directly. In this kind of environment, they even sent an old man with a goatee and a treacherous smile to welcome the new student. Wasn't this the same as forcing the students to go to Shangjing Academy? In this kind of academy, would there really be a beautiful school flower? Yu Yang sweated profusely. Conquering his own beautiful school flower was out of the question. According to what Fatty Hai said, conquering the school flower of the neighboring Shangjing Academy would probably be more likely. Looking at this old man with a goatee who looked like a miserly country bumpkin, Yu Yang bluntly asked, "Where did the beautiful teachers in your school go? Why did they send you out to welcome the new students? Don't you know that your appearance will chase away the students?" That old man with a goatee waved his hands. "Student, I'm already the best-looking teacher in the whole academy, just bear with it for a while. I'm going back." When Yu Yang heard that there were no beautiful teachers and the most handsome person was this old man, he felt that he was just looking for trouble by coming here to study. Don't be like this, there are still beautiful teachers. However, student, I believe that you also understand that beautiful girls are especially arrogant. The more beautiful and talented they are, the more arrogant they are. If there is really a beautiful teacher standing here to welcome the new students, then it proves that she is not a true beauty. Good things are always hard to obtain. If you only look at the waves on the surface, then how can you discover the pearls hidden in the sea? The old man with a goatee hurriedly stopped Yu Yang and mysteriously took out a colorful illustrated handbook from his bosom. There's no other way. I can't let you, a new student, experience the resources of our academy's beauties. Our academy has the 4 great beauties, all of whom are devastatingly beautiful. We also have the 4 great school flowers, all of whom are tender and fresh. Lastly, we also have 2 beautiful teachers. Do you want to see? Yes. Yu Yang had no resistance towards beauties. Pay up first. Our resources of beauties are only for internal use. The old man with a goatee's words almost shocked Yu Yang to death. But this was also good, at least he didn't have to worry about those wolves from Shangjing Academy coming over to plunder the scarce resources of beauties. Yu Yang endured the pain and took out 5 gold coins, preparing to sign up, pay up, and then take down this colorful illustrated handbook of beauties. Who knew that the old man with a goatee shook his head and waved his hands? Student, your tuition fee is not 5 gold coins. It's 50 gold coins. You'd better pay another 50 gold coins as a deposit, otherwise I won't dare to let you sign up. When Yu Yang heard this, he was stunned. He then angrily grabbed the old man's collar. You old man, you dare to raise the price on the spot? Everyone pays 5 gold coins, why do I have to pay 50 gold coins? The old man with a goatee was lifted into the air by Yu Yang, but his face was still full of smiles. Our Ivy Academy's students teach students in accordance with their aptitude. The little girl who walked with you just now, she's full of spirit and has a bright future. She's also a resource of beauties, so she can help us recruit new students. It's not a problem for us to accept her for free. But what about you? First of all, you're a little pervert. If you come to study, you'll definitely snatch the resources of beauties. You'll definitely clash with the original student. Secondly, your temper isn't that good either. Who knows, you might even fight a few times a month. How can we accept a troublemaker like you if we don't add some money? The additional 50 gold coins as a deposit is the estimated compensation for the damage to our academy's equipment. Do you think I'm a tyrant who snatches girls? I'm actually from a poor family. It's hard for me to make a living, and I wholeheartedly study as a migrant worker student. My ancestors for 18 generations were all farmers. Both my parents died, and I was raised by my uncle and aunt. I had to eat until I was full. My 5 gold coins are already the savings I accumulated after enduring hunger and living frugally for more than 10 years. Yu Yang almost said that he was a white-haired girl who was persecuted by the landlord Huang Shuren. I understand and sympathize with your family's circumstances. However, you're the first student in history who dared to grab the principal's collar. Charging you 50 gold coins is actually not that high. The old man with a goatee said with a smile. You're the principal? When Yu Yang heard this, he hurriedly put down the old man with a goatee. Vice. The old man with a goatee nodded and admitted. Then who's the principal? Long before he was transported to another world, Yu Yang had read many novels from another world. In the academies, the vice principals were all bad people, while the principal was a good person. He usually didn't care about anything, and would drink until he was drunk. He was just a peerless expert who pretended to be stupid, and would often take the main character as his disciple. Most importantly, no matter how ugly the principal was, he would always have a beautiful granddaughter or granddaughter. In short, after being transported to another world, he must stay away from the academy's vice principal. However, he must be familiar with the principal. This way, it would be easier for him to pick up girls. The principal is the arrogant, beautiful teacher that I mentioned just now. She's one of our academy's 2 great beautiful teachers, and the number 1 of the 10 great beauties. The old man with a goatee deliberately flipped through the beauty illustration handbook extremely quickly. Among them, there was a picture of a voluptuous, domineering woman coming out of the bath. When Yu Yang saw it, he fiercely swallowed a mouthful of saliva. This voluptuous, domineering beauty was the principal? Chapter 123. After paying, Yu Yang's first reaction wasn't to ask for a receipt, but to snatch the illustrated handbook of beauties. Don't read it here. The beauties in the school are all very guarded against wolves. Student, you better pretend to be an obedient child. The goatee elder first warned him, then asked, Student, that's right, what's your name? Titan? This name. Forget it, the name isn't important at all. Student Titan, what class are you planning to join? We have the Ivy League specialty, sheep herding style, closed door style, and even a type of love style, which we don't openly encourage but also don't oppose. Wait a minute, what do you mean by sheep herding style? Yu Yang wasn't so easily fooled. He knew something was wrong the moment he heard it. It's a high degree of freedom. The teacher doesn't care about anything, and the students can learn freely. The goatee elder shamelessly explained. Hearing this, Yu Yang was enraged. Wasn't this the rumored scam? Receiving tuition fees, but not caring about anything, was this still called an academy? Don't the teachers have lessons? Yu Yang resisted the urge to beat him up, and decided to clarify first. Yes, the lessons still have to be attended. In a year, the teachers will at least give the students 2 lessons. The first lesson is an introduction lesson, where the teachers and students get to know each other. The second lesson is a commemorative lesson. A year has passed, and the teachers and students are about to part ways. Everyone exchange words as a memento. The goatee elder hadn't finished speaking when Yu Yang collapsed. Oh my God, this is also called a lesson? Then what about closed door style? Yu Yang asked the second lesson. As the name suggests, this is the students studying diligently. Our academy is very generous, and opens the library for students to look up information for free. The old man with the goatee was implying that opening the library for his students to search for information was a great gift from the heavens. What about the third love style? You can date in school? Yu Yang felt that this was not a bad idea. Shu, our school won't openly support this, but we won't oppose it either. If you can find a girlfriend, then our cafeteria can provide couples meals and couples seats for you to feed each other. What I mean is, our school will provide a better and more comfortable learning environment so that every student can learn in joy. Of course, there is an additional charge for the couples set meal. It's not that expensive, it's only about 10 times the price of a normal meal. It's also very nutritious. Under normal circumstances, our canteen wouldn't give out sand for free. The goatee old man was the most shameless fellow Yu Yang had ever seen since he crossed over to the soaring dragon continent. Yu Yang felt that he was shameless enough. But compared to this old man, he felt that he was still lacking in some areas. With such a shameless person as the vice principal, it was no wonder that the Ivy Academy, which had 3,000 years of history, had fallen so far. In the end, Yu Yang couldn't take it anymore and said something that even he himself didn't expect. Students are here to learn things, why do we need to be so comfortable? If you don't care about anything and let them date every day, will they still have the heart to study? According to what you said, this place is practically a student's paradise. It's indeed a paradise, but it's a paradise for poor students. The goatee old man chuckled. Student Titan, you must have never heard of our academy's reputation, right? What reputation? Yu Yang was curious. Could it be that this lousy academy had something good to say? Our Ivy Academy is known as the paradise for poor students and the hell for outstanding students. The goatee old man laughed. It's the exact opposite of Shangjing Academy. No wonder you guys can't recruit any students. Yu Yang finally understood. Which parent didn't think that their son was an outstanding student? Which parent would be willing to send their son to hell? Even if they weren't outstanding students, they wouldn't send their son to the Ivy Academy to pick up girls. If they wanted to pick up girls, their family wouldn't be able to do it. Why send them to the academy? Sending them to the academy was because they hoped that their son would become a dragon and have a bright future. No matter how good the Ivy Academy's conditions were, it was impossible to recruit students. Maybe the students liked this kind of lifestyle, but their parents would definitely not agree to it. Sending them to the Ivy Academy was a waste of their own money. Our academy's aim is to make poor students even worse, and make outstanding students even more outstanding. If an outstanding student comes to our academy, we will use all methods to torture him, making his life a living hell. As for poor students, what great things do you expect them to do? It would be better to let them know their place and comfortably enjoy a few years of happy life in the academy. The goatee old man's following words stunned Yu Yang again. These words seemed to make some sense. Towards students who were like mud that couldn't even stand up to the wall, rather than spending a lot of effort to nurture them, it would be better to let them live happily in the academy. Many poor students didn't even want to study, they only wanted to muddle along for a few years. Of course, their parents wouldn't agree to the academy doing this. Perhaps this was the real reason why the Ivy Academy declined. They had a good teaching philosophy and teaching attitude, but they weren't accepted by the public. The goatee old man looked at Yu Yang's startled expression and revealed a sly smile. "Student Titan, do you want to take a test?" When he said this, Yu Yang immediately thought of the main character in the novels in the other world. The main character in the novels in the other world would usually go to the academy to study. His main purpose was to pick up girls, and at the same time, he would take in a few loyal underlings. The most classic plot was when the main character was queuing up for a long time. When it was finally his turn, he would stretch out his hand to test his magic power on the crystal ball, and in the end, a strange phenomenon would happen. Under normal circumstances, the crystal ball would first emit a rainbow-colored light, and then it would explode from his magic power. However, that was normal. He was the main character. How could he be the main character if he wasn't awesome? Following that, the magister who was doing the test would cry out in surprise. He actually has all the attributes of wind, fire, water, earth, light, and darkness? He's a genius that only appears once in 10,000 years. Even if I had 10 times more magic power left, I wouldn't be able to explode the crystal ball. I didn't expect that this brat's magic power would be able to explode it. It's too terrifying. There were a few classmates that he met on the road, who would be the main character's loyal underlings in the future. They would excitedly cry out, "Boss!" Here, everyone was looking at the main character. The main character would smile evilly, and his body would shake. What happened next was simple. It was a must for the beauties to throw themselves into his arms, and a large group of people would kneel on the ground and call him Lord, no, call him Boss. That was also a must. Usually, the principal who was peeping at the beauties bathing would rush over when he heard the news. When he saw the boiled egg in the main character's hands, he would exclaim, could this be the legendary phoenix egg? Where did you get it from?" Of course, the main character would innocently scratch his head, and say something that would make everyone fall to the ground. "I bought this from a street vendor in my hometown to make breakfast. This brat must have come from the heaven realm. Maybe this brat was the illegitimate child of a god." Everyone would suspect the main character like this. Next, of course, more people would kneel down and call him Lord, no, call him Boss. Alright, Student Titan, it's not too late to fantasize about the beauties at night. I know a good place where you can peep at them changing clothes. You can't charge a fee, 1 gold coin per peep. The goatee elder interrupted Yu Yang's fantasies. This old fellow was definitely the most lecherous, most shameless, and most understanding teacher that Yu Yang had ever seen in his life. "Where's the crystal ball?" Yu Yang looked around the room, but couldn't find the crystal ball used for testing. It was fine if there weren't thousands of people watching, no beauties throwing themselves at him, no lackeys kneeling down and calling him Lord. But there wasn't even a crystal ball? The goatee elder shook his head and waved his hands. I say, Student Titan, you've misunderstood. In Shangjing Academy, they indeed use a crystal ball to test. Our test is more complicated and more particular, so we don't use that kind of method. Yu Yang was curious. If they didn't use a crystal ball, then what would they use to test? The goatee elder took out a few small and exquisite scrolls from his bosom. They were divided into 7 different colors: red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, blue, and purple. How do we test this? Yu Yang guessed that when he stretched out his hand and touched the scroll with the corresponding attribute, it would light up. All of the scrolls are small dimensional scrolls that I made myself. Each color represents a different difficulty. Red 1 is the lowest, while purple 7 is the highest. When you open the scroll, you will be transported to another space. There will be monsters waiting for you inside. The monsters are also different depending on the difficulty. For example, this red 1 scroll that you are holding has 10 level 2 stormwolves. If you open the scroll, you will be transported to the front of these hungry storm wolves. If you can kill all of them and finish the battle within 10 minutes without any injuries, then you will be able to pass the evaluation of a poor student. The goatee elder smiled amiably and kindly, but why did Yu Yang feel that he looked like a demon? You're killing me for money. Yu Yang was sweating profusely. He had never seen such a dangerous test before. It's fine if you don't take the test, but you will be evaluated as a poor student. After that, you won't have the chance to participate in our academy's special Journey to Hell training. Of course, you can find a little girl and feed each other every day in the academy. The goatee elder smiled from ear to ear, not the slightest bit angry. How many people in the entire school have passed the test? Yu Yang didn't believe that there would be people who would accept this kind of abnormal test. Including the trainee teachers, there are a total of 368 students in our Ivy Academy. Including you, there are a total of 369 students. The success rate of our students taking the test is 10%. 37 people are willing to take the test, and the success rate is close to 30%. 11 people have passed, and 4 of them can be evaluated as excellent. Student Titan, do you really not want to try? Excellent students have scholarships, and the beautiful principal will personally guide them. You don't know, but she likes to wear sexy leather clothes that look like empty mesh in class. She's so hot that it can burn a person's heart. Poor students don't have this kind of treatment. When the goatee elder said this for the first time, Yu Yang was a little moved. Wasn't it just a blast wind wolf? He didn't even need to summon his beast. He could just use his magic blade to kill it. All right, I'm only doing it because of the scholarship. Of course, Yu Yang wouldn't say that he wanted to see the beautiful principal wear sexy leather clothes with empty mesh. He wouldn't look for trouble. Pushing away the purple scroll that the goatee elder handed over, he picked up the red scroll. Opening it, a golden pillar of light flashed. Yu Yang was instantly teleported. When he regained his consciousness, he discovered that he was standing in a dimension similar to the dimension of Duel. The dimension wasn't big, it was about the size of 2 football fields. In the center of the dimension, there was a hill that looked like a small mountain. That should be the Blast Wind Wolf's lair. Wasn't it just a level 2 Blast Wind Wolf? Other than its speed and agility, it didn't have anything special about it. If he didn't send Hui Tai Lang to protect Yu Bing from school, it would probably be able to take care of these 10 Blast Wind Wolves by itself. Yu Yang confidently took out his Hui Jin magic blade and ran up the hill. Suddenly, he discovered 2 magma wyverns lying in a pool of blood-red magma, soaking and rolling in it. He immediately shouted crazily, "Damned old fox, wait till I get out, I'll cut you into 18 pieces." How were these level 2 Blast Wind Wolves? These were bronze-ranked level 6 magma wyverns, and there were even 2 of them. Yu Yang immediately took out a teleportation scroll. Who knew that teleportation scrolls couldn't be used here? Not only did that old fox know how to create teleportation scrolls, he even knew how to interfere with space. The students who were teleported here could only fight and couldn't escape. Chapter 124. Seeing the two magma wyverns, Yu Yang sweated profusely. If it wasn't him, but another examinee like Fatty High, they would probably be tortured to death. How could they win against two bronze-ranked level 6 magma wyverns? This was the worst crimson level 1 scroll. If he opened the purple level 7 scroll, what awaited him would be the legendary golden three-headed dragon. The more Yu Yang thought about it, the angrier he got. This old fox was obviously doing this on purpose. He didn't use the crystal ball to test, but chose to use this kind of perverted test. Who knew how many students had died in his hands? No wonder no students came to Ivy Academy to study. Who would come here to die? However, since he was teleported here and met with the magma wyverns, Yu Yang still had to kill them. He could still fight bronze-ranked level 6. The magma wyvern's magic crystal was an excellent fire attribute magic crystal. If it was used as the core of a flame demon puppet, it would be the best material. The molten flame core also needed this to level up. If his Hui Jin magic blade could level up and evolve into a platinum-ranked magic weapon, it would be even more awesome. There was also the golden swan Ni. If it hatched, it might also need the magma wyvern's magic crystal as nourishment. What's there to be proud of? Seeing the magma wyverns pouncing towards him, Yu Yang didn't retreat but advanced instead, slashing down with his magic blade void. He wasn't like Fatty High, who only knew how to eat and wait for death. Let alone bronze-ranked level 6, he had killed even stronger monsters before. Don't think that you could bully others just because you were a bronze-ranked level 6. If it was someone else, they might be helpless against a magma wyvern covered in flames. However, Yu Yang, who had fought against the Flame Lord before, knew the weakness of this type of flame monster. Flame monsters were awesome, but they were extremely afraid of water. If he had a white whale beast that could spray water, even if it was a normal ranked one, as long as the level difference wasn't too big, the magma wyvern wouldn't be able to escape unscathed. The second weakness was the dragon crystal in its head. The magma wyvern had a layer of extremely high-temperature magma to protect its body, but it didn't have horns to protect its head. Especially the magic crystal in its head. Because it had absorbed fire energy for a long time, it had accumulated too much, causing its skull to bulge, forming a huge bump on its head. This way, the enemy would be given a clear target to attack. Yu Yang dodged into the air and slashed at the abnormally obvious bulge with his magic blade. Originally, he thought that this slash would be enough to severely injure the enemy. He didn't expect the magma wyvern to lower its body and raise its wings to block above its head. The magic blade sliced through half of the magma wyvern's wings like cutting through mud. The magma wyvern lost its support in midair, and fell heavily onto the ground, splashing lava all over the ground. Yu Yang somersaulted in midair, and cleverly dodged the bite of another magma wyvern. He was prepared to give the injured magma wyvern another heavy slash. Unexpectedly, the magma wyvern, whose wings were damaged on the ground, suddenly raised its wings miraculously and flapped them into the air, knocking Yu Yang, who was in midair, into the air. It then quickly chased after him and bit him repeatedly, forcing Yu Yang, who was on the ground, to dodge left and right. For a moment, he was flustered. How could this be? Didn't he just destroy its wings? How could it recover to its original state in the blink of an eye? If it wasn't for the fact that he was being chased, Yu Yang would have flipped through the Beast Encyclopedia to find out what characteristics this magma wyvern had and why it wasn't afraid of weapon attack. Are you very arrogant? Look at my ultimate move. Yu Yang looked at the ugly magma wyvern's scorching hot head coming towards him. He leapt up agilely and somersaulted in midair, dodging the sharp teeth. He used his right index finger as a sword and pointed at the magma wyvern's head. Sword chi shot out from his body and hit the bulge on the magma wyvern's head. Boom! Once the innate invisible sword chi was released, the magma wyvern was immediately heavily injured, cried out in pain and fell to the ground. Its body rolled continuously, leaving behind pools of lava that looked like fresh blood. Yu Yang was very pleased with himself. Trying to show off? No matter how strong it was, could it be stronger than his innate invisible sword chi? However, the magma wyvern's next series of actions and changes made him dumbfounded. The injured magma wyvern stumbled and fell into the lava pool. The half-dead magma wyvern rolled over and over again. Every time it rolled, its injuries would recover a little. In less than a minute, it crawled back up, its body as good as new. It flapped its flaming wings that were dripping with lava and flew into the sky. It can be done like this? If Yu Yang didn't have his level 3 divine vision, and could see that the magma wyvern's injuries hadn't completely recovered, and that it had only recovered on the surface, he would have been scared out of his wits. To warriors who didn't have innate sword chi, the two magma wyverns would be invincible with the hot lava pool in the small hill. This advantageous terrain was basically a nightmare for all challengers. Yu Yang unconsciously wiped off his cold sweat. Luckily, I didn't fight against a gold-ranked level 7 magma wyvern, but two bronze-ranked level 6 magma wyverns. Alright, game over. He released the Bloody Queen and let her fly into the sky, pressuring the two magma wyverns that were circling in the sky. Although the two magma wyverns circling in the sky were 3 levels higher than the Bloody Queen was a gold king beast after all. When she flew up, the two magma wyverns immediately flew lower, unwilling to fight her head-on. The magma wyvern on the left that hadn't fully recovered from Yu Yang's sword chi was slightly slower. The Bloody Queen acutely sensed this and immediately chased after it. The gold-ranked dragon-slaying dagger in her hands was the nemesis of all dragon-type and dragon-type beasts. Forget about dragon-type beasts, even other gold king beasts, including the dagger in the Bloody Queen's heart, wouldn't be able to withstand it. The magma wyvern on the left was easily chased by the Bloody Queen, who was at least 3 times faster than it. It turned its head unwillingly and tried to bite the magma wyvern. With a beautiful somersault, the Bloody Queen perfectly dodged the bite. The dragon-slaying dagger in her hands pierced deeply into the magma wyvern's bulging magic core. Immediately, the magma wyvern rolled on the ground in pain. With a rumble, it smashed into the ground, creating a burst of magma sparks. Seeing that its comrade was heavily injured, the other magma wyvern hurriedly came to its aid. The Bloody Queen screamed. The magma wyvern that came to its aid seemed to have been struck by lightning, rolling on the ground in a daze. On the ground, Yu Yang wouldn't be courteous to it. He first took out the giant hammer that the gold-armored puppet had used before from his lich ring, swung it in a circle, and smashed it ruthlessly on the magma wyvern's head. When it was sent flying, Yu Yang took out his Hui Jin magic blade and flew up high. At the moment when the magma wyvern fell heavily on the ground, Yu Yang jumped down as fast as lightning. Using both his hands, he stabbed the Hui Jin magic blade into the magma wyvern's head. After a minute, the magma wyvern died. The battle had ended. On the other side, the Bloody Queen, who had secretly absorbed the energy from the other magma wyvern's magic core, her body flashed with a fiery brilliance. She straightened her golden wings, and the feathers on her body started to burn, turning into fiery feathers that would never be extinguished. However, her blood-red hair didn't burn. Instead, it became brighter and smoother. Miraculously, it straightened up and hung down until it reached her buttock. She looked breathtaking and enchanting. The Bloody Queen, who was originally close to leveling up, finally leveled up from gold-ranked level 3 to gold-ranked level 4 under the support of continuous battles and continuous absorption of the magma wyvern's magic core. She flapped her golden fiery wings lightly, and her speed became a few times faster than before. Even Yu Yang couldn't see her figure clearly. After the Bloody Queen and the Shadow had merged and reborn, although she had fallen to gold-ranked level 3, once she leveled up, Her battle power became stronger and her speed became faster. Even though she was only gold-ranked level 4 now, she had already surpassed the standard of gold-ranked level 5 in the past. She was so excited that she flew everywhere in the sky, screaming happily non-stop. Yu Yang originally wanted to catch her and smack her butt, because she didn't ask for his permission and ate whatever she wanted. This was a problem with her husband's authority, so he couldn't help it. However, looking at her happy look, he couldn't bear to dampen her spirit. Forget it, she was his girl anyway. Even if he ate her, she would be serving him. When Yu Yang saw the bloody queen's snow-white body that was fatally seductive, his wolf heart was moved. If Nan didn't come soon, he would be able to solve the problem of his blissful sexual life. He couldn't hold it in anymore. Could it be that he really wanted to do that kind of taboo between humans and beasts? Thinking about it carefully, although this bloody queen was called a golden king beast, she was obviously a beauty and not a real beast. She only had an extra pair of wings, so why couldn't he do it? Yu Yang opened his silver grimoire and found that this girl had indeed leveled up to gold-ranked level 4. She even had an additional ability, Flame Whip. The strangest thing was that Yu Yang found that he could also use this Flame Whip when he summoned the Bloody Queen. It was the exact opposite of Little Wen Li's binding chains inherent skill. However, the power of the Flame Whip was not even worth mentioning when compared to the binding chains inherent skill. Flame Whip might be useful against normal warriors or normal beasts, but against strong warriors or beasts, it was just like scratching an itch. Binding chains inherent skill was different. Demon King Ha Xian and Lich Suago had both suffered from binding chains inherent skill during the battle at White Stone City that day. Little Wen Li's binding chains inherent skill could be leveled up. Otherwise, Lich Suago wouldn't have died tragically under Yu Yang and her combined attack. Suddenly, a teleportation pillar appeared on Yu Yang's body. It started small, but it quickly expanded. As Yu Yang moved, the Bloody Queen also moved. Looks like it was the old Cunning Fox's 10-minute teleportation spell to protect his students. Yu Yang hurriedly put the magic crystal that he had dug out from the magma wyvern's skull into his lich ring. He then forcefully stuffed the 2 magma wyverns into his lich ring. Not even a second after summoning the Bloody Queen back, the teleportation pillar shot up into the sky, forming an extremely strong white pillar. The entire process took about 10 seconds, and Yu Yang had already teleported back in front of the old Cunning Fox. Without waiting for the old Cunning Fox to open his mouth, Yu Yang had already sent a punch towards him, sending his skinny body flying. Let's add on another record. I am the first student in history to beat up the vice principal after entering the academy. Yu Yang chased after the old Cunning Fox, who was about to get up, and gave him a good beating. He then picked up a big rock, wanting to smash the old Cunning Fox to death. He did not expect that when he raised his head, he would see at least 50 to 60 people staring at him, dumbstruck. Many of them had dropped their weapons, and their mouths were so wide open that a hippopotamus could be stuffed inside. Fatty Hai, Yi Kong and the others ran out from the crowd. Fatty Hai was extremely surprised as he gave Yu Yang a bear hug, while Yi Kong stealthily snatched the big rock from Yu Yang's hands and hurriedly threw it away. Why are you guys here? Yu Yang was curious. Weren't these guys celebrating the new year? Why did they come earlier than him? There's nothing fun to do at home, the academy is more interesting. We've already waited for you for 2 days. Vice Principal, don't be angry. This little brother of mine doesn't know any better. As his boss, I'll definitely teach him a lesson, and guarantee that he won't abuse his power next time. Let's run, this old fellow is going to flip out. Seeing that the old Cunning Fox's nose had been beaten crooked by Yu Yang, Fatty Hai was seething with anger. He was so scared that he immediately abandoned Yu Yang and ran away. When Yu Bing arrives, let's go to the Wild Horse Wasteland to catch a windfox. This academy is quite fun and there's a lot of freedom, but you can learn a lot of things. As Yi Kong ran, he introduced the Ivy Academy to Yu Yang. It can't be? I can learn a lot of things in this kind of damned lousy academy? Yu Yang was curious. Yi Kong shouldn't be lying to him. Tai Tan, you bastard, you dare to hit me? If I don't take revenge on you 100-fold, I'm not the vice principal. The old cunning fox couldn't catch up to Yu Yang, so he shouted at his back in a flustered and exasperated manner. Seeing that Yu Yang didn't care about him, he turned around and warned the teachers and students who saw him, "Everyone, you are forbidden to talk about this matter. You must completely forget about it. If I hear anyone saying that I'm the first vice principal to be beaten up by a new student in 3,000 years, I'll give all the students in the academy an inhumane punishment, and let everyone experience a super terrifying journey to hell." When everyone heard this, they were speechless. This fellow was so tyrannical, it seemed that he would be beaten up again sooner or later. Chapter 125. Ivy Academy was very big. It was at least 10 times bigger than what Yu Yang had imagined. Other than all kinds of buildings, there was even a lush green hill and a natural lake inside. Yi Kong introduced that there was a 10,000-year-old tortoise at the bottom of the lake that De Xia called the guardian beast. Of course, this guardian beast didn't know how to fight. It was different from normal beasts. It only had a long lifespan and was considered to be an auspicious sign. That was why it was called the guardian beast. Other than the waterside pavilion, there were also 2 ships lined up side by side on the lake. It was originally a place for students to practice summoning water-type beasts, but now it had been taken over by the girls as their singing and dancing pavilion. On the green embankment there were pavilions, terraces, and other buildings. Ancient buildings could be seen everywhere, forming an incomparably elegant combination with the surrounding lush greenery. It was very pleasing to the eyes. The villas in the middle of the mountain were dotted with stars, and there was a huge hall in the middle. The girls live in villas, while we live in a high-rise dormitory. In the middle is the dining hall and public bathroom. Boys and girls are all in the same big pool, separated in the middle. The girls can come over to bathe with the wolves, but the wolves are not allowed to go over unless they can defeat the 4 guardian female demons. We paid extra money to rent a big dormitory. The conditions are very good. Come this way. Yi Kong introduced the various situations in the academy to Yu Yang along the way. I feel that it's a little too high, it's a little hard to go up and down, but it's not bad to be able to see the girls' movements in the villas. Fatty Hai said, "This is the student dormitory?" When Yu Yang walked closer, he was incomparably shocked. Wasn't the conditions here too good? If Yi Kong didn't say it, Yu Yang would never have imagined that this luxurious palace-like place was the student dormitory. Yu Yang had never been to the palace before, but he felt that the Ivy Academy dormitory was enough for princes and princesses to stay in. The students of the Ivy Academy lived in such a good place, and had such a good romantic environment, would they still have the mood to study? Yu Yang really didn't dare to think about this problem. He was completely convinced by the Ivy Academy. There were only 300 students, yet they had occupied such a big place. Didn't they feel that it was a waste? Fatty Hai said that although the Ivy Academy was trash, the area of the academy was only slightly smaller than Shangjing Academy. The opposite Shangjing Academy had 10,000 students, but it didn't feel crowded at all. There were only 300 people in the Ivy Academy. It was practically empty. Yu Yang couldn't imagine that in Shangjing, where every inch of land was worth its weight in gold, how could such a large and empty academy like the Ivy League exist? Fortunately, there was no such thing as real estate in the Soaring Dragon continent. Otherwise, this ivy would have been torn down by the Great Demolition Office long ago. When Yu Yang entered the student dormitory, the vice principal, that old fox, appeared in front of a simple and unadorned building. First, he tidied up his clothes that were a little wrinkled from Yu Yang's pulling. Then, he squeezed out a smile on his face, which had been beaten up by Yu Yang. Then, he pushed the door open and went upstairs. When he arrived at a room on the third floor, he gently knocked on the wooden door and asked softly, "Baby girl, can Daddy come in? During working hours, please call me Dean." An elegant, sweet-sounding, yet cold and indifferent voice came from inside. "It's all the same. You are the Dean, and you are also my daughter." The old cunning fox seemed to be used to his precious daughter's ice-cold attitude, as he pushed open the door and entered with a smile. "Why are you looking for me? Why were you beaten up by someone?" The lady in white who was writing on the desk in the room was like a white orchid, aloof and pure, proud of the world. Her long hair flowed down her shoulders like a waterfall, forming a strong contrast with her white jade-like hands. In front of her, the old cunning fox who always had a cheeky smile on his face had completely turned into a different person. At this moment, he was the world's most loving parent. After writing for a long time, the lady in white stopped. She raised her bright eyes that were hidden under her soft bangs and looked at the old cunning fox. That beautiful and delicate face that could topple a country showed a hint of surprise and asked, "What happened?" "Nothing, I was beaten up by an interesting freshman. No, I just didn't think that he would hit me. I was careless and fell into his trap. Otherwise, I could totally beat him up until he looked like fallen flowers." The old cunning fox laughed and said, "This freshman was very interesting. He was very strong, but his basic knowledge was terrible. He actually didn't know that the stronger one's strength was, the more difficult the challenge would be. I looked at his silly face and fooled him. Ha ha, whenever I think of his expression, I want to laugh out loud. However, his strength was really not bad. I spent a lot of effort to catch 2 magma wyverns, but he killed them within 10 minutes. It's a pity that I don't have enough control over space right now, so I can't see the process of his battle. Otherwise, I would have been able to see how this brat killed my magma wyverns. He killed them using combat skills." After saying that, the lady in white buried her head in the desk and continued writing. "How did you know?" The old cunning fox was stunned. "The freshman who dared to beat you up the moment he entered school must be the U-clan's third young master. I heard about him from Chien Chien before. In order to seek justice for his fourth mother, this brat took a knife and barged into the U-clan village. He killed his way into the U-clan castle. If it wasn't for Marshal Yu-hai stopping him, I'm afraid that the U-clan would have turned into a river of blood. You study the space scroll all day long, so of course you wouldn't know about him." The lady in white seemed to be very familiar with Yu Yang's matters. "No wonder, I thought that brat looked a little familiar. So he is Yu Chio's son." The old cunning fox suddenly realized. He is very strong. Previously at the Eagle's Cry Valley, he and Chien Chien traveled together. He could defeat a necromancer by himself. Chien Chien guessed that the brat stayed at home every day not to study, but to practice combat skills. That's why his basic knowledge is extremely poor. If there's a person in this world who can't tell the difference between a 3-leaved butterfly orchid and a lucky 3-leaved clover, it would be him. Don't be in a hurry to throw him into the abyss to train. Let him cram some basic knowledge first. If there's nothing else, Vice Principal, you can leave now." Facing her father, the lady in white was also extremely cold. She indifferently ordered him to leave. "Do you think that a little pervert will listen to this old man's teachings? I was beaten on the first day. If I want to teach him personally, I will be beaten to death by him sooner or later." The old cunning fox laughed and shook his head. "I'm thinking about runes now, I don't have time. You should look for Sister Yi." The lady in white focused on the words on the paper, ignoring the old cunning fox. "If we ask that girl to come out and teach students, the world would be in chaos." The old cunning fox sighed. Yi Kong and the Li brothers were busy collecting the things for Yu Yang, while Fatty Hai ran to the canteen to ask the great master, who was said to be invited from the imperial kitchen, to add more dishes. Of course, his purpose was not only to welcome Yu Yang, but also to welcome the transferred little girl Yu Bing. Otherwise, He wouldn't be so attentive and would not spend so much money. Yu Yang was bored waiting. Seeing that Yi Kong and the others wouldn't be back for a while, he decided to go out for a walk to get some fresh air. This academy was not bad, the only shortcoming was that there was no one here. There were no human voices, only the sounds of insects. It was quiet and elegant, but it lacked the kind of flourishing vitality that was unique to humans. Forget it, I'm here to be a good boy and to study anyway. Yu Yang felt that this was also good, it was quiet enough. He could study in peace and quickly cram up his basic knowledge before going to Tong Tian Tower to train. Just as Yu Yang was preparing to be an obedient child, he suddenly saw a mature lady wearing fiery red skin-tight leather clothes walking towards him in a drunken manner. Her mature and sexy body was swaying, and her footsteps were like that of a drunk cat. She looked as if she would fall to the ground at any moment. Yu Yang was dumbstruck. Could it be that this drunken cat was the Ivy Academy's principal? With this drunken cat look, even if he carried her back to the dormitory and pushed her down 100 times, she wouldn't even know who did it. If it wasn't for his level 3 to divine vision, which allowed him to see that there was a strong beast sleeping inside this drunken cat's body, silently guarding her, Yu Yang would really have the urge to rape her. There's a handsome guy. That drunken cat unintentionally looked, and seemed to have discovered Yu Yang. Without waiting for Yu Yang to react, her body moved faster than lightning. Her body couldn't be seen clearly, and in an instant, she had already appeared in front of Yu Yang. Yu Yang, who was extremely confident in his speed, was dumbfounded, not daring to believe what his eyes had just seen. The drunken cat Big Sis moved closer to Yu Yang with her rosy face that reeked of alcohol. She stared at Yu Yang with her drunken big eyes. You look pretty good, but it's a pity that you're still too young. You're still a child. Hey brat, have you ever been kissed before? Do you want me to teach you? When Yu Yang heard that there was such a good thing, he immediately nodded his head. Drunken cat revealed a smile. Good boy, although you're a little young, as long as you're a handsome guy, I can't let you go. Close your eyes, I'll teach you how to kiss. Really kiss? Yu Yang decided that he would sacrifice his body to serve the tiger. No, he would sacrifice his body to serve the cat. He would let this drunken cat push him down this time. Just as the drunken cat Big Sis was about to kiss him, there was a flash of golden light inside her body. A black and white beast jumped out and sent Yu Yang, who was waiting to be pushed back, flying with a punch. As soon as the beast left her body, drunken cat couldn't resist the alcohol anymore and fell to the ground with a thud. Oh my god, gold-ranked level 5 panda girl? Yu Yang flipped over and landed on the ground. When he looked carefully, he felt his scalp go numb. The humanoid beast that attacked Yu Yang was the strong beast that had been slumbering in drunken cat's body. Her humanoid appearance was a little chubby. She was an extremely arrogant big loli. Her hair was tied into a small braid, and there were cute dimples on her round face. She had big eyes, a small nose, and a mouth full of small white teeth. Her chubby fists were spread out as she looked at Yu Yang with a "I'll beat you up if you look at me again" posture. She was wearing strange black and white clothes. On her forehead there was even a king character. She was obviously Panda Girl, but she pretended to be a little tiger. Yu Yang almost burst out laughing when he saw this. Be more serious, you're not allowed to laugh, otherwise I'll get angry. If I get angry, I'll beat you up. This Panda Girl could even talk. Come, I'll give you some candy. Yu Yang used his ultimate move. This move was invincible. It's so sweet. This Panda Girl was easier to deal with than Yu Shuang, who had no resistance to candy. However, when she saw the smile on Yu Yang's face, she immediately took out the candy from her mouth and reluctantly returned it to Yu Yang. Don't try to bribe me. Nyonyo will never be tempted by an enemy. When she finished speaking, this cute Panda Girl was about to cry. She was probably afraid that Yu Yang would take the candy back. She looked at him with teary eyes. Yu Yang had never seen such a contradictory expression in his life. She obviously wanted to eat it, but she insisted on returning the candy. Her eyes were filled with tears, as if they were about to fall. For the first time in his life, Yu Yang felt guilty. It's wrong to bully kids. Yu Yang smiled brightly. Since he couldn't bully kids, he might as well bully a big sister. He stretched out his hand and caressed Panda Girl's head. Using the gentle tone of a wolf grandmother, he said, "Nyo-Nyo, be good. I'm not a bad person. I'm friends with Big Sister. Big Sister is drunk, so I want to carry her back and push her down. No, I mean carry her back to sober up." Really? When Nyo-Nyo Panda Girl heard this, she immediately became happy. She immediately stuffed the candy back into her mouth and ate it happily. However, after 2 seconds, she immediately became doubtful. "Brother, are you friends with my mother? Why doesn't Nyo-Nyo know you?" "No, you're still a bad person. I'll return the candy to you." She reluctantly took the candy out of her mouth and insisted on passing it back to Yu Yang. She looked like she was about to cry again. Chapter 126. When Yi Kong, Fatty Hai and the Li clan brothers returned, they were dumbstruck to discover that on Yu Yang's bed, there was a beautiful big sister who was sleeping soundly. In front of the bed, there was also a little panda girl who was happily eating sweets while swinging her little feet. "What's going on?" Yi Kong was stunned. How could he take down a big sister so quickly? This speed of picking up girls was simply a miracle. "I picked her up from the roadside," Yu Yang explained indifferently. "Brother, where did you pick her up from?" From Fatty Hai's tone, it seemed that he also wanted to pick one up. "Just downstairs." Yu Yang rarely spoke the truth. "I don't want to live anymore, I want to commit suicide." Tears streamed down Fatty Hai's face as he banged his head against the wall. He felt that he had wasted his 2 years in the academy. In these 2 years, he had not even picked up a single lost little loli. But this brat, he had only been here for a day and he had already picked up 2 big sisters and little loli. Comparing oneself to others would only make one angry. Fatty Hai felt that if he stayed with this brat for too long, even if he did not die of anger, he would cry himself to death. Moreover, he would cry himself to death from dehydration. This brat's luck made him feel inferior. Could it be that he was the illegitimate child of the goddess of luck? Why did all the luck in the world fall on him? Fatty Hai really wanted to place 3 big bowls of vinegar in front of him and drink it all in one go. Maybe then his heart would not be so sour and he would feel better. The little panda Nyo-Nyo sucked her fingers cutely as she looked at Fatty Hai with her big eyes. Suddenly, she said an earth-shattering sentence. "Brother, this Fatty is an idiot." "Ah, she can talk?" Yi Kong and the others were about to faint. Another beast that could talk? "I'm not an idiot. Let me tell you, I'm a very smart person. When I was 8, I could easily count to 100. When I was 9, I could write my own name. After I was 10, I never wet my bed again. How about it? Am I amazing? Little sister, my name is Hai Da Fu. Everyone calls me Young Master Hai. I'm your brother's boss. Come, I'll give you candy too." Coincidentally, Hai Da Fu also had a bag of malt candy, which he had specially bought to please Yu Bing. Nyo-Nyo looked at the amber-like maltose candy and felt a little tempted. But in the end, she still shook her head. "Mom said that I shouldn't eat the food of a fool. Otherwise, I'll be infected with the air of foolishness. I don't want to become a fool." Fatty Hai fell to the ground with a thud. This blow was too great. If not for the Li brothers holding him back, he would have jumped off the building to commit suicide. Yi Kong laughed until tears flowed down his face. He praised Nyo-Nyo continuously and gave her a thumbs up. "Yes, you're right. Idiocy is contagious." Little panda Nyo-Nyo immediately showed an extremely frightened expression. It seemed that she was really afraid that Fatty Hai's idiocy was contagious. Yu Yang quickly comforted her who was about to cry. "This brother Yi Kong is just teasing you. Don't worry, idiocy is not contagious. Nyo-Nyo, don't be afraid. Eat the candy. Towards the maltose candy that Yu Yang passed to her, Nyo eagerly took it and happily put it into her mouth. After eating for a while, she tilted her head and asked doubtfully, "Is idiocy really not contagious?" Fatty Hai burst into tears. "Even if it's contagious, I'm not an idiot. I don't want to live anymore." At the door, the old cunning fox walked in with Yu Bing. He smiled and said, "Students, what are you guys chatting about? It's so lively. And Nyo, why are you here?" Little Panda Nyo immediately jumped up from the bed and put on an attacking posture. She showed her little white teeth and warned, "Perverted old man, stay away from my mother. I hate perverted old men like you who like to peek at other people changing their clothes the most." Everyone looked at the old cunning fox as if they were looking at the world's #1 pervert. The old cunning fox was extremely embarrassed. Luckily he was thick-skinned, otherwise he would have hugged Fatty Hai and cried bitterly. "Aha, actually, that's a misunderstanding. How could a gentleman like me do such a despicable and shameless thing? For a person of virtue and integrity like me, not to mention peeping, I'm also very careful in my words and actions. I try my best to teach my students by example, by virtue as a teacher, and by example as a role model." Before the old cunning fox could finish his words, Yu Yang had already taken out a colorful erotic secret manual from his body. "Honorable and virtuous Vice Principal, would it be convenient for you to explain to me what is going on?" Yu Yang asked sincerely. "This is confiscated from the students." The old cunning fox's reaction was extremely fast. He was also thick-skinned as he lied without batting an eyelid. "Then what about this girl's bra?" Yu Yang took out a pink female bra from the old cunning fox's sleeves. It was blown to the ground by a strong wind. "I was just about to return it to its owner," the old cunning fox responded easily. He had the appearance of a gentleman, as if it was a sin for others to doubt him. "Vice Principal, you are indeed the model of morality among us students. I admire you, I admire you." Yu Yang gave the old cunning fox a thumbs up, but the old cunning fox immediately shook his head and waved his hands. "It's just an empty reputation. As a gentleman, I have always denounced the corruption of society and felt even more pained by the degeneration of youngsters. It's a pity that my abilities are limited and I can't do much more. I can only set an example and hope that I can influence more people." Today, other than leading the way for student Yu Bing, I would also like to inform you, student Tai Tan, that due to your outstanding performance, you have successfully been selected to be a member of the Hell Journey Death class. I hope that while you are learning and improving, you will also have a good time. Is this considered as abusing your authority and publicly taking revenge on me? Yu Yang smiled brightly as he asked this question. "Actually, I have painstakingly wanted to groom you. If it was trash like Fatty Hai, I wouldn't care about his life or death." The old cunning fox was also smiling from ear to ear. "I'm trash?" Fatty Hai was furious. "No, I was wrong. You are not trash." When the old cunning fox said this, Fatty Hai's complexion became a little better. He did not expect the old cunning fox's next sentence to make Fatty Hai so angry that he almost fainted. This was because he said, "You are not trash, how can you be trash? Even trash is 100 times better than you. You are simply the scum of the trash. If I was your teacher, I would have thrown you into the abyss to feed the ghost insects. You damned old pervert, you are the one who told us to enjoy life comfortably without doing anything." Fatty Hai was as angry as a dog. He almost wanted to bite the old cunning fox to death. "I told you to go and die, why didn't you go?" The old cunning fox was indifferent and shrugged his shoulders. "If you want to prove that you are not trash, you can go to the death class with student Tai Tan and participate in this year's Hell Journey. How about it? Do you have the guts to be a trash?" "Forget it, I don't want to talk to a coward. Please stay away from me." "Damned old pervert, isn't it just the death class? Why wouldn't I dare to participate?" Fatty Hai was about to go crazy from anger. I hope that you will not exist in this world in the form of demon insect feces. After the old cunning fox finished speaking, he put on an amiable smile and said to Yu Bing, "Student Yu Bing, from tomorrow onwards, you will have lessons with Grandma Wu Ting. She is a famous plant-type grandmaster. I have specially invited her to guide you, a specially recruited student. You must work hard." "But, yes, I will work hard." Yu Bing actually wanted to train with Yu Yang more. "They are trash, it wouldn't be a pity even if 100 of them died. You are a genius, you cannot die before you have grown up. You must work hard and become a strong warrior. Don't disappoint everyone's expectations." The old cunning fox's words made Yi Kong and the others speechless. Why was the treatment of males and females so different? The entire Soaring Dragon continent valued males more than females, but this Ivy Academy student was the opposite, valuing females more than males. Studying in this kind of academy, they really didn't know whether to laugh or cry. However, Yu Yang furrowed his brows. He felt that this old cunning fox was not valuing females more than males, but was teaching according to their aptitudes. For example, Yu Bing, who was obedient, Yu Bing would go and find the best teacher to teach her. As for Fatty Hai, who loved to enjoy life, and Yi Kong and the others who had strong self-esteem, Yu Bing would use the method of provocation. The sharper and meaner the old cunning fox's words were, the more it would stimulate Fatty Hai and Yi Kong's male self-esteem. This Ivy Academy was actually not as bad as what normal people thought. As for this old cunning fox who looked like a lecher, Yu Yang realized that his level 3 divine vision could not see through his true strength. Among all the male rankers that Yu Yang had met so far, there were only 2 that he couldn't see through at all. One was the hemp-clothed elder from the Assassin Guild, and the other was the old fox in front of him. Other than the 2 of them, Yu Yang could also see through a part of the Dixia Emperor Jun Wu Yu and Elder Yu Hai, who were well-known rankers. He wasn't like the hemp-clothed elder and the old fox, who couldn't see through them at all. "Nyo, Grandpa has left. Your mother has sobered up, let her go and look for Sister Principal." The old cunning fox waved his sleeves, and a white light flashed on his body, disappearing from where he stood. Yi Kong and the others might not have noticed anything, but Yu Yang was shocked. The teleportation speed was too fast. It was even faster and more convenient than the teleportation orb in the demon abyss. This old man who looked like a lecher on the surface had actually mastered such a powerful teleportation technique? It seemed like this Ivy Academy was not lucky to be able to stand on equal footing with Shangjing Academy for 3,000 years. A trip to hell for the death class? It might be very interesting. When Yu Yang thought of this, a smile suddenly appeared on his lips. The sober and drunk Yu Yang were 2 completely different people. Once she woke up, she would use her terrifying brute force and extraordinary speed to beat up everyone she saw. Yu Yang was coincidentally not around. He was learning the basic knowledge of the Beast Encyclopedia from Yu Bing. When he returned, he found out that all the guys in the building had been beaten up by her. There were injured students groaning everywhere, and Fatty Hai's pig head was even swollen to the point that his eyes couldn't be seen. Yi Kong, who was beaten until he was hanging on the clothes rack in the corridor, passed a piece of paper to Yu Yang. This wasn't Drunken Cat's, but the little panda Nyonyo had left it for him. There was a cute paw print on it. She didn't know how to write, but she didn't forget to leave a small paw print for her brother, Yu Yang. When Yu Yang saw this, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Does my charm only work on little Lolas? Yu Yang did not have the time to clean up the mess in the room when a murderous voice suddenly rang out from downstairs. All students of the death class, gather. From now on, you must arrive at the Black Stone Square within 5 minutes. Those who are late will be punished with 10 strokes of the stick every minute. Those who defy orders and purposely fail to make it will be treated as deserters from the battlefield and will be punished according to military law. Is it really that strict? Yu Yang was curious. Didn't the Ivy Academy allow students to enjoy themselves? He suddenly remembered the words of the old cunning fox. The purpose of Ivy League was to make the outstanding students better, and the poor students even worse. This was the hell for the outstanding students, and the paradise for the poor students. When did he become an outstanding student? Fatty High, who was lying on the ground half dead and on the verge of death, suddenly jumped up when he heard the order to gather. He pulled Yu Yang and said, "Quick, let's go. This isn't a joke. That fellow is a bloodthirsty homicidal maniac." It was said that he had personally killed no less than 10 students who were late. So terrifying? Why did you still drag us along if you knew that? Yikong felt dizzy when he heard this. Nonsense. If we die together. We are brothers, Fatty High replied shamelessly. Chapter 127. When Yu Yang and the others rushed to the Black Stone Plaza, they discovered that there was an extremely tall man dressed in black armor waiting for them. This person had a sinister look, with many terrifying scars across his face, making him look like a demon. At first, Yikong did not believe that the teacher would really kill the students, but looking at the murderous look of this man in black armor, he couldn't help but feel a little suspicious. Maybe this guy would really kill the people who disobeyed his orders. The man in black armor had a pair of eagle eyes that were so sharp that they could see through people's hearts. Forget about normal warriors, even Yu Yang felt a chill in his heart when he looked at him. This kind of terrifying murderous look, this kind of gaze, Yu Yang had seen it on 2 people before. One was Elder Yu Hai, who had killed countless enemies on the battlefield, even in the demon abyss, and the other was Feng Kuang, who was known as Thousand Bones Withering. If he had not killed thousands of people, he would not be able to accumulate this kind of murderous look. This eagle-eyed man in front of him seemed to be a general who had returned from a pile of corpses after dying 9 times on the battlefield. This kind of murderous look was completely different from that of a normal warrior who had killed beasts. If this black-armored eagle-eyed man's murderous look was a sharp sword that could kill people, then a normal warrior's murderous look would at most be a fruit knife. They could not be compared at all. The students of the death class quickly gathered together. Different from Yu Yang and the others who had just joined, these people almost immediately lined up neatly in 2 rows the moment they arrived. Among them, there were very few males, only 6 of them. Most of them were females, there were more than 20 of them. What made Yu Yang surprised was that there were also 5 little kids. There were boys and girls among these kids. The oldest did not seem to be more than 10 years old. But they were extremely serious, their little heads were raised, their backs were ramrod straight, and their legs were straight, looking like a qualified warrior. "The 5 of you form a small group, all of you stand at the back." The black-armored eagle-eyed man roared at Yu Yang with his hoarse and magnetic voice. After waiting for Yu Yang and the rest to line up, he scanned the surroundings with his eagle-eyed eyes and said coldly, "Our soldiers were ambushed in the dragon intestine. Although we returned victorious after a bloody battle, a total of 300 people were poisoned. They were bitten by a special demonic insect, and the medical center lacks a main medicine, so we are unable to treat them. Now, we must head to the demonic abyss and gather a special herb to treat these poisoned soldiers. Within 10 seconds, if you want to leave, you can go back and enjoy your beautiful life. Brave warriors who are not afraid of death, follow me." Actually, Fatty High really wanted to quit. A large group of students going to the demon abyss to gather herbs, wasn't that just seeking death? But when he saw that Yu Yang did not say anything, and even the children in front of him looked determined, he was too embarrassed to say that he did not want to go. Yikong and the Li brothers were extremely excited. Previously, when they attacked the demon abyss, they did not contribute at all. It was all Yu Yang who held the fort. He was the one who killed the demon general and saved everyone. This made them feel very ashamed. They did not have the qualifications and ability to fight a war and attack the demon abyss, but gathering herbs to save people should not be a problem. As for Yu Yang, he was even more surprised. The academy often brought students out to train. This was a very proper thing to do. However, normal academies, including Shangjing Academy, would only go to various places in the Soaring Dragon continent, such as Wild Horse Wilderness, Snow Bear Ice Field, Wind Wolf Canyon, White Shark Gulf or Gray Eagle's Cliff. At most, they would only go to the first and second floor of Tong Tian Tower to train. The third floor was the final trial for graduation. Who would have thought that Ivy Academy would go to the Demon Abyss? What kind of place was the Demon Abyss? Not to mention others, even Yu Yang was very clear about it. It was definitely a place of death. Even if they did not meet the demon army, it would be extremely dangerous if they met all kinds of strong demons. For the lives of a few hundred soldiers, Ivy Academy sent more than 30 of their most outstanding students to the Demon Abyss to gather herbs. Among the outstanding students, there was even the Emperor Jun Wu Yu's daughter. For example, the youngest girl in front was the little princess Bei Bei, who played with sand with Yu Shuang during the New Year. Who would have thought that she would be sent to the Demon Abyss to train when she was only 6 or 7 years old? No wonder she could score 80 marks in the exam papers. What kind of education was this? This was practically a death-style education. Yu Yang secretly sweated. This old fellow Jun Wu Yu was really ruthless. He was indeed made to be an emperor. A middle-aged doctor, who was in charge of the teleportation circle and explaining herbs, came forward. In his hands there were 2 bottles. The herb that we want to gather is the black-eared shriveled heart orchid. It is a type of extremely poisonous herb. Before it is boiled, anyone who takes even a drop of it, or touches a small amount of it on their wounds, would bleed to death within a minute. At the same time, it is very similar to the rat spot flying yang grass. The former's leaves have thorns, while the latter's leaves have hairs. However, this is only a small amount. It is almost impossible to distinguish them with the naked eye. You have to rely on touch, or use your beast's special sensing ability. The bottle on the left is the black-eared shriveled heart orchid. The bottle on the right is the rat spot flying yang grass. You can let your beast smell it. After the 2 are boiled, the toxicity of the black-eared shriveled heart orchid will be greatly reduced, and can heal the wounded. However, the toxicity of the rat spot flying yang grass will be even greater after boiling, and one who takes it will die immediately. Also, there is a plant that grows together called the silver fragment leaf smelly flower. Usually, the plant that grows slightly taller than it is the rat spot flying yang grass, and the plant that grows slightly shorter is the black-eared shriveled heart orchid. But you must note that the young stalks of the rat spot flying yang grass will be much shorter than the silver fragment leaf smelly flower. This middle-aged doctor's words made Yu Yang sweat profusely. These 3 plants grew together? If they picked 1 or 2 wrongly and let the poisoned soldiers take it, wouldn't the whole army be annihilated? Even if they didn't care about the soldiers' life and death, it was not a good idea for the academy to let 6 or 7-year-old children go to the Demon Abyss to pick herbs. If an accident happened during the journey to the Demon Abyss, and little Princess Bei Bei or some other child couldn't return, then how would the academy explain it to Jun Wu Yu? Furthermore, there were still new students like him who had never heard of the black-eared shriveled heart orchid and the rat spot flying yang grass. The probability of picking the wrong herb would probably exceed 90%. If that was the case, the consequences of this trip to the Demon Abyss would be unimaginable. However, the situation did not allow Yu Yang to think too much. The gigantic teleportation circle was instantly opened, and it could only be maintained for 1 minute. If they were unable to complete the mission and return within 2 hours, then all the poisoned soldiers would die. Everyone will receive a teleportation scroll. If they meet a demon that they cannot defeat, everyone is allowed to use the teleportation scroll to return to the academy. Let's go. The eagle-eyed guy did not say much. With a wave of his hand, he led the team out. All the students of the death class would let their beasts smell the liquid in the 2 bottles. Other than letting Hui Tai Lang smell it, Yu Yang also sniffed it worriedly. He discovered that it was odorless, and cursed this middle-aged doctor for being a quack and a liar in his heart. There was basically no difference between the two liquids of the black-eared shriveled heart orchid and the rat-spot flying yang grass, because they were both odorless liquids. The color was also the same, they were both slightly black with a light purple hue. Asking him, who couldn't differentiate between Danshan and Codenopsis, couldn't differentiate between licorice and Atractylodes macrocephala, and even couldn't differentiate between wolfberry and schisandra, to find out the difference between the black-eared shriveled heart orchid and the rat-spot flying yang grass, which looked exactly the same on the surface. This difficulty was even harder than ascending to the heavens. The demon abyss was the same as before, with a blood-red sky. However, the teleportation location was not the ancient dojo, but a gloomy and terrifying damp valley. Countless demon insects were crawling about. Because they were afraid of the human students' numerous beasts, they didn't dare to attack for a moment. However, facing the fresh and delicious human flesh, they were unwilling to retreat. The medical center reckons that they can find the black-eared shriveled heart orchid in the depths of this insect valley. Everyone who has a beast mount, please ride it. If you don't, just run and follow behind. Our time is very tight. Students who have found the black-eared shriveled heart orchid, as long as you collect more than 10 stalks, return immediately. Every stalk of herb can save a soldier's life. Time is life, the faster the better. The eagle-eyed guy took out a crystal and summoned a bronze-ranked level 5 iron armor beast. Mounting it, he took the lead and galloped towards the depths of the insect valley. Gosh, there's not even a demonstration. How are we going to harvest it? Yu Yang and the others hurriedly followed. However, the more Yu Yang walked, the more puzzled he felt. This was because he realized that along the way, other than unceasingly killing the demon insects, the eagle-eyed guy was also harvesting herbs at the same time. Moreover, everywhere he passed by, there was practically not a single blade of grass, not a single stalk of grass was left. All of the herbs were stuffed into his bag. If it was only a student's mission, why did this guy need so many herbs? Furthermore, he wasn't harvesting just 1 or 2 types, but all of them. This was really strange. As Yi Kong walked, he lowered his voice and said to Yu Yang, "There's something wrong. I'm guessing that the number of people poisoned might not just be 300. Hearing his words, Yu Yang's heart trembled slightly, and he had a sudden realization. If an army was ambushed and poisoned, then the number of people poisoned would definitely not just be 300. This was because the human allied forces were weaker than the demon race. If they were to march, then they would have to form a large army of thousands or tens of thousands of people, and they would only be safe when they moved out together. If there were only 300 people, it wouldn't even be enough for the demon insects to eat. According to the eagle-eyed guy's words, the human army had won in the end even though they were ambushed. From this, it could be seen that the human allied forces had the advantage in terms of military strength. In that kind of situation, how could the number of people participating in the battle be only 300? How could the number of people poisoned be only 300? What you mean is, we are only a team that came to the demon abyss to harvest herbs. There are other teams that are also doing it at the same time, but they are not here? When Yu Yang said this, he immediately thought of another frightening fact. If the poison was purposely planted by the demon race, then would the demon race's commanders and generals set up an ambush at the place where the black-eared shriveled heart orchid grew? If there were demon commanders and demon generals lying in ambush in this insect valley, wouldn't the eagle-eyed guy bringing everyone to charge in? Wouldn't that be courting death? As Yu Yang thought this way, he immediately held the Hui Jin magic blade in his hands, his expression vigilant as he sized up his surroundings. In terms of harvesting herbs, he couldn't help much. However, at the very least, he had to protect everyone until they safely harvested the black-eared shriveled heart orchid and returned. Right now, Yu Yang finally realized the importance of basic knowledge. If he could differentiate between the black-eared shriveled heart orchid and the rat-spot flying young grass at a glance, then he wouldn't need to let so many people take the risk. He could complete the mission by himself. Unfortunately, he was a guy from another world, so he had to learn everything from the beginning. Yu Yang suddenly had a realization in his heart. Today's lesson, this trip to the demon abyss, would be the turning point of his entire life. When he returned, he must major in martial arts and minor in medicine. If he could strengthen his medical knowledge, then the mysterious knowledge in his mind would be able to display its power. In the future, he would definitely be able to refine pills that were even better than the Spirit Beast Awakening Knowledge Pill. At that time, not only would it benefit him, even his beasts would improve. As for knowledge on beasts, machinery and runes, it would also be one of his minor subjects. If he knew all of the beast's weaknesses, then when he met a strong enemy's beast, he would be invincible in every endeavor. If he grasped the knowledge on machinery, not only would he be able to create puppet beasts, he could also inherit the secret treasure that the ghost genius Yu Gong had left in the puppet palace. Runes on the surface looked useless, but it was the only key to open the god's ruins. Brother, you don't know how to harvest herbs, right? You guys be our bodyguards, let's complete the mission together. However, you guys have to listen to our commands. A few kids rode on their flying beasts and arrived beside Yu Yang and the others, stating their conditions to be their bodyguards. Could it be that you guys have discovered something big? Yu Yang's brain worked faster than anyone else's. Once he heard them, he understood a little. It must be that these kids had discovered something good. These kids were not simple. Yu Yang didn't dare to look down on them. What good thing had they discovered? Chapter 128. Although they were children, they were very clever and refused to say it out loud. They only let Yu Yang and the others stay where they were. What they meant was that they did not want to compete with their older brothers and sisters. Originally, they were small and weak. Adding on the fact that there were demon insects everywhere, once they left their flying beasts and went down to the ground, it would be extremely easy for them to be in danger. Therefore, these smart little fellows decided to target Yu Yang and the other freshmen. They realized that Yu Yang, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai did not know how to differentiate herbs. Coming to the demon abyss, they were completely useless. Hence, under the lead of a girl around 10 years old, they came over to discuss cooperation with Yu Yang. If it was purely to fight demons and hunt for magic crystals, it would be weird if Yu Yang cared about them. However, when it came to picking herbs, how could he, who did not even know what the black-eared shriveled heart orchid looked like? Found it, good job. A female student first used her snow wolf beast to disperse the demon insects, then happily took a herb from the crevice of the rocks and put it into her medicine pouch. The one who helped her find the herb was another little jerboa. It did not have any battle strength, but as it bounced around, it found 3 black-eared shriveled heart orchids for its master. At first, Yu Yang thought that the black-eared shriveled heart orchids were over a meter tall and were all over the ground. They grew together with the rat spot flying yang grass, making it hard for people to differentiate the real from the fake. Who didn't know that this was not the case at all? This kind of black-eared shriveled heart orchid was only about 2 inches tall. Moreover, it was a strange plant that grew deep in the crevice of the rocks. Not to mention a large area, it was not easy to find one in a large pile of rocks. You guys can't just pick any grass you see. This is not a black-eared shriveled heart orchid, nor is it a rat spot flying yang grass. It's not even a silver fragmented leaf, smelly flower. This is not a herb at all. Fatty Hai imitated them. As long as he saw a plant from the demon realm, he would dig it in his hand. He thought that if he picked it all up, he would at least be able to find a few black-eared shriveled heart orchid. Anyway, he just needed to bring the herbs back and let the medicine hall's pharmacist have a headache. However, a girl with long hair saw the herb in his hands and couldn't help but cover her mouth to laugh, as if she saw a gorilla that did not know how to peel a banana. Not even a single one? Fatty Hi was a little unconvinced. If they were everywhere, why would they send us to collect them? Besides, you didn't use the right method. Even if you managed to collect it, it would be a waste. You guys take your time to learn. Don't worry, I'll gather more. I won't let the poison soldiers go untreated just because you guys failed to gather the herbs. The long-haired girl laughed like a bell. Fatty Hi felt extremely awkward when he heard this. He hurriedly threw away the weed in his hands. Yu Yang didn't get distracted by picking herbs. He knew that he still needed to learn how to differentiate herbs. The most important thing now was to prevent any accidents from happening. Yu Yang felt that the work of little Princess Bei Bei and the others was also a way to successfully gather medicinal ingredients. The eagle-eyed man did not stipulate that they had to personally pick the fruit. Teamwork was also within the rules. Otherwise, why would he require a team of 5 people? He probably had the hidden intention of training teamwork. Newbie, noob, learn more. A boy with an arrogant demeanor came over and plucked a stalk of medicinal herb from under Yikong's feet. Then, he walked away proudly. The beast he used was a long-legged spider that could accurately detect the existence of medicinal herbs. This fellow actually couldn't be considered awesome. He was only slightly stronger than Yu Yang and Yikong and the others. Currently, he had only managed to gather 2 stalks of black-eared shriveled heart orchid. There was a lone girl dressed in thief's clothes who was the most exaggerated. While everyone was still searching for rocks, she had already unfurled her scroll and teleported back with a ray of white light. Obviously, she had already gathered 10 stalks of black-eared shriveled heart orchid. If you guys really can't recognize it, you can ask beasts to help. Beasts' sense of smell and vision are generally more acute than humans. The long-haired girl felt a little strange towards Yu Yang, who was currently using his divine vision to scan the surroundings, vigilantly guarding against sneak attacks from demons. However, she was happy to have someone be her bodyguard for free. This way, she could gather medicinal herbs with more peace of mind. She saw that the foundations of Yu Yang's team of newbies were really too weak. She couldn't help but give pointers to Yikong, who looked more honest. Black-eared shriveled heart orchid normally wouldn't hide too deep. They also need to absorb the demon moon's energy, so there's no need to search for places that are very deep and flooded. The second point is to pay attention to demon insects. Generally speaking, demon insects don't like to stay in the crevices of the extremely poisonous black-eared shriveled heart orchid, but it doesn't matter if it's the rat spot flying yang grass. Places where demon insects usually appear can also be ignored. The third point is, following the long-haired girl's pointers, Yikong spent a long time and finally managed to gather 1 stalk. It grew in the shallow crevices of the rock. There was no water and there were no demon insects. All the conditions were met. This stalk should be that black-eared shriveled heart orchid. Yikong was secretly delighted. However, just as the herb was in his hands, little Princess Bei Bei, who was circling on her bronze-ranked level 2 swallow falcon, quickly swooped down. She shouted in a sweet voice, "Idiot, quickly throw it away." The long-haired girl also reacted and cried out in shock, "Oh my God, that's the fishy juice worm luring grass. The juice of this kind of grass will attract a large number of demon insects. Quickly throw it away." Yikong could indeed smell a faint fishy smell in the air. It was indeed different from the odorless juice of the black-eared shriveled heart orchid. Looking at his surroundings again, he didn't know when, but a large group of demon insects had appeared. He was so scared that he hurriedly threw that stalk of herb away. Seeing that he had thrown it too close and the demon insects were surging towards him, it was still not good. He hurriedly picked it up again and ran, attracting the tide-like demon insects to chase after him. When he threw that stalk of fishy juice worm luring grass far away and wanted to escape from the swarm of demon insects, he discovered that he had already been surrounded by the tide-like demon insects. When the Lee brothers and Fatty Hi saw this, they hurriedly summoned their beasts to save Yikong. After a long time, the 4 idiots who had been bitten by the demon insects until their bodies were covered with cuts and bruises, under the support of Hui Tai Lang, finally killed their way out of the encirclement of the swarm of demon insects and escaped back to Yu Yang's side. All of them were as tired as dead dogs. Yikong was still alright, he was just badly frightened. Fatty Hai was so tired that he directly fell to the ground, unwilling to move even when the demon insects crawled on his body. Yu Yang only sent out Hui Tai Lang and did not personally go to save them. These demon insects were very low-leveled, Yikong and the others could handle them. This was also a good chance to train them. Little Princess Bei Bei revealed a very dizzy expression and lectured Yikong and the others like a little adult. Brothers, if you don't know how to gather herbs, then don't randomly gather them. This is the demon abyss. My Empress Mother said, my mother said, no matter what you do in the demon abyss, you can't be careless. When they heard that they were even lectured by 6 or 7-year-old children, Yikong and the others looked at each other, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. The little girl who was the leader of the 5 children flew down and waved her hands, advising, all of you don't move. We found a few hundred black-eared spheres growing together. I estimate that they will blossom in another hour. When we collect them, that would be the freshest and most useful black-eared shriveled heart orchid. All of you don't be anxious, maintain your strength. When the time comes, just pay attention to protect us while we gather the herbs. Bei Bei, summon your beasts to heal them first. We'll go look again and see if there are any more black-eared spheres in the surroundings. Where are the black-eared spheres? The long-haired girl was surprised. Princess Qi Ming, I didn't think that there would actually be someone among you who could recognize the black-eared spheres. I have already learned medicine for 3 years, but even now I can't guarantee that I can definitely distinguish between the black-eared spheres and the rat-spot spheres, because they really look too similar. Can all of you really recognize them? We all recognize them. Little Princess Bei Bei nodded her head proudly. Yu Yang was secretly speechless. Looks like these children were all from the royal family. If they weren't princesses, then they were princes. As princesses and princes, they didn't go to the royal family's Shangjing Academy to study, but instead came to the Ivy Academy to participate in the death class. No wonder the soaring dragon continent's royal family could last for thousands of years without collapsing. Just by looking at this kind of education, one could tell how strict the royal family was in nurturing their descendant. Under the long-term education of this kind of cruel environment, how could the princesses and princes who grew up not become the most outstanding rulers in the future? It wasn't without reason that the 3 great royal families could be ranked above the 4 great clans. Little Princess Bei Bei and the other little boy who still had a runny nose, probably some prince, summoned special-type beasts to heal Yikong, Fatty Hai and the others. Yu Yang realized that the 2 children didn't have a grimoire contracted, but they were already very familiar with summoning. The blood moon in the demon abyss has already reached its peak. Stronger demon insects have come out to hunt for food. Everyone who has gathered enough herbs, leave immediately. The black-armored eagle-eyed man rode his armored beast and rushed over, shouting at the students sternly, our quest requirement is 10 herbs. Those who are greedy will often fail and end up with nothing. They might even die a horrible death in the demon abyss. I definitely don't encourage that. Everyone who has fulfilled the quest requirement, leave immediately. Hearing the eagle-eyed man's warning, almost all the students opened their scrolls and teleported away. There were only a few students who were hesitant. They hadn't gathered enough herbs, but the stronger demon insects were already increasing. They couldn't guarantee their own safety, especially when their companions had left. If they continued to stay, they would fail. In the end, some of them gathered together and discussed for a while before teleporting back. The remaining 2 men who were more confident in their combat abilities continued to gather. The eagle-eyed man went over and berated them, scaring the 2 of them into leaving quickly. In the end, only Yu Yang and the others were left. That long-haired girl looked at Yu Yang and Yi Kong, then looked at little Princess Bei Bei and the others who were still riding their beasts and circling in the sky. She gritted her teeth. I can stay and help you gather black-eared spheres. However, I don't specialize in combat, so you must ensure my safety. If you can keep your promise and not abandon your companions under any circumstances, then I will stay. Yi Kong, you are in charge of protecting her. Yu Yang waved at little Princess Bei Bei in the sky. All of you come down, there is an abnormal fluctuation in the air. It might be the black-winged worms, quickly descend. The girl in the lead, Princess Qi Ming, heard this and her expression changed. She took the lead to descend. At this moment, the black-armored eagle-eyed man rode over fiercely and shouted, "What are you doing? Why aren't you going back? We haven't completed the quest yet." Fatty Hai was scared by him and almost cried. At most in another 5 minutes, a large number of black-winged worms and a sky full of blood-sucking mosquitoes will fill the entire insect valley. You definitely can't wait for the black-eared spheres to bloom. If you can't complete the quest, you will only fail once. However, if you die here, then you will fail forever. In life, there can be many failures. No one is a general who wins all the time. However, you must be alive in order to walk towards success. All of you go back immediately. The eagle-eyed man saw the dark clouds churning in the sky and his expression immediately turned cold. He growled, "Those who have grimoires, immediately summon your grimoires. Everyone hide inside the protective shield, don't use teleportation scrolls for now. The fluctuation in the air here is very strange. All of you stay here. I will go and see what is the reason for the demon worms to be so agitated." The eagle-eyed man rode his iron armor beast and galloped towards the other side of the insect valley. Yu Yang looked at his back and a bad feeling flashed across his heart. Although his divine vision could not see anything abnormal, something bad was definitely going to happen. Could it be that the demon soldiers had discovered the herb-gathering team? Or had some terrifying demon worms come? At this moment, the sky was dark. The black-winged worms and blood-sucking mosquitoes appeared like dark clouds. The little girl called Princess Qi Ming immediately summoned her grimoire. The 5 children tacitly hid inside the protective shield. They even kept their beasts, not panicking at all. Princess Qi Ming then summoned a normal level 4 flaming axe puppet and calmly waved at the long-haired girl, signaling her to hide inside. The long-haired girl hurriedly squeezed in and carried little Princess Bei Bei. When they saw Fatty Hai's clumsy appearance of not being able to summon his grimoire for a long time, they anxiously stomped their feet. Yi Kong and the Li brothers were already used to this. If Fatty Hai could quickly summon his bronze grimoire, then his grimoire contract wouldn't be worse than a normal warrior's. It was precisely because Fatty Hai was a few beats slower than other people that he couldn't summon his grimoire even after being beaten to a pulp. That was why he was so pitiful. "Look, I, your boss, am still the best." Fatty Hai summoned his grimoire with great difficulty and summoned his iron rhinoceros. He proudly boasted. Yi Kong and the others were speechless. "Brother Little San, quickly enter the protective shield." Little Princess Bei Bei saw that Yu Yang was still outside and hurriedly called out, "Everyone, don't worry about me. Don't move, something strange is coming." Yu Yang stood in the midst of the black-winged worms and blood-sucking mosquitoes. He activated his innate chi and the Hui Jin magic blade's purple flames burned. All the black-winged worms and blood-sucking mosquitoes that flew near were burnt to ashes. Even more black-winged worms and blood-sucking mosquitoes came like a dark cloud, covering the sky. Yi Kong and the others could only vaguely see 2 balls of flames burning in front of them. One was the soaring purple flames of the Hui Jin magic blade in Yu Yang's hands, and the other was the demon chi's black flames on Hui Tai Lang's body. Yu Yang used the yin-yang twin fish spherical beheader that he had learnt during the Yu clan's New Year's tournament. The Hui Jin magic blade slowly rotated, the purple flames burning all the demon worms that came near it. The space within a meter around him had turned into a demonic insect vacuum zone. No demon worms could come near it. The black flames on Hui Tai Lang's body became bigger and bigger. In the end, it roared towards the sky, and the black flames on its body exploded, gushing out with a rumbling sound. The terrifying demon Qi and Hell's black flames not only burned the surrounding demon worms to death, it also gave off a kind of supreme pressure similar to that of a demon king, scaring the weak demon worms in front of it into chaos, causing them to escape from its surroundings. Fatty Hai's iron rhinoceros was immediately scared to the ground. Not only his beast, even Fatty Hai, Yi Kong and the Li brothers felt their hearts palpitating. When they looked at Hui Tai Lang, they felt as if they were looking at a demon king. Yu Yang was also a little surprised. It was only now that Hui Tai Lang started to display the true power of the demon king Ha Xian's evil demon Qi. Although Hui Tai Lang had only absorbed Ha Xian's evil demon Qi, it was still the demon king's energy. It was not a small matter. Could it be that in such a dangerous environment, Hui Tai Lang's potential could be stimulated, allowing it to level up or evolve? Yu Yang was overjoyed. If that was really the case, then it would be an unexpected surprise. As the black flames on Hui Tai Lang's body became more and more intense, its body continued to reconstruct and evolve within the black flames. The ground shook, and the whole valley shook, as if something was going to drill out from the ground. What the hell is this thing? Yu Yang was shocked. This demon that was about to drill out from the ground, wasn't the earth shaking a little too much? Could it be that it was a Godzilla from another world? The black flames on Hui Tai Lang's body burned faster, and its body continued to be perfected. It was as if it was stimulated by the giant demon, and its evolution process sped up again. Chapter 129. The ground split open and the mountain rocks collapsed. Deep fissures appeared on the ground and a huge mound rose up from the ground. The oppressive and nauseating sounds of the mountain rocks rolling and falling could be heard for a long time. The black-winged worms and the blood-sucking mosquitoes in the sky intertwined with each other, buzzing loudly. Because of the pressure from Hui Tai Lang and the giant demon, they scattered in all directions, forming groups of worms that were constantly changing shape, floating back and forth, as if they were not willing to leave easily. Hui Tai Lang's originally calf-like body became more and more sturdy. His muscles bulged and the bones in his body were evolving, reshaping and slowly expanding. Every time the black flames on his body burned, his body would grow a little. In the end, Hui Tai Lang howled towards the sky. His sharp claws pierced into the ground and a huge pillar of black flames exploded from his body, shooting straight into the sky. The black-winged worms and blood-sucking mosquitoes that filled the sky all fell to the ground one after another, forming a strange insect rain. The domineering pressure of a king beast? Yu Yang could only feel such a strong pressure from a gold king beast. A normal king beast, compared to Hui Tai Lang's demon king aura, was not even worth mentioning. Hui Tai Lang was not a gold king beast yet, but he already had such an aura. Could it be that it had absorbed the demon king Ha Xian's evil demonic energy? Hui Tai Lang's body grew rapidly in the flames, finally turning into a huge monster that was comparable to a bull. It was filled with demonic energy and was extremely terrifying. When it raised its head, it reached a height of 3 meters. In its 2 bloody mouths, wolf fangs were as sharp as daggers. Smoke came out of its mouth and nose, and flames flickered. On its body, the black flames strangely burned on its glossy black fur. The flames slid across its body surface, making Hui Tai Lang look even more domineering, as if a demon king had descended. At first, Yu Yang thought that Hui Tai Lang would grow another head and become the legendary Cerberus. However, he soon realized that it only grew bigger. He used his divine vision to take a closer look and realized that it was still a 2-headed demon wolf. However, it had already successfully evolved from bronze-ranked level 5 to silver-ranked level 4. Although this evolution did not increase its level but instead decreased, its battle power and potential had increased by leaps and bounds. The advancement to the silver level was the beginning of hope. If Hui Tai Lang were to level up to bronze-ranked level 6, then it would be destined to be a beast that worked hard in the future. However, now that it had successfully become a silver-ranked beast, it was undoubtedly equivalent to opening a new door of hope. There was a whole new realm waiting for it. Yu Yang was also more confident and patient to nurture it. Since it had successfully advanced to the silver level, would the gold level be far away? According to Hui Tai Lang's newly evolved domineering aura, as well as its original intelligence and spirituality, it would at least be a gold king beast, or even higher. Yu Yang suddenly had an even crazier idea. If one day, he obtained the Demon King's corpse and let Grey Wolf eat it, what would it become? Of course, this was only an idea for the time being, but it was not impossible. Howl! After Grey Wolf's evolution, he was extremely domineering and his battle intent was at its peak. It jumped in front of Yu Yang and roared thunderously at the gigantic monster that was crawling out of the soil. It did not back down at all because of the monster's gigantic body. With a rumbling sound, the monster that had been crawling for a long time finally rushed out of the ground. Out of Yu Yang's expectations, this monster was not an elite-ranked monster, but a normal-ranked demon bug. Its size was like a small hill, and it looked a little like an insect-type rhinoceros beetle. However, the strange thing was that this hill-sized rhinoceros beetle had 3 horns. The 2 horns were like half-moon-shaped pincers, and there was a spear-like horn in the middle. Its head looked sinister and scary, and its black carapace was like a steel hill. If compared to normal beasts, it was really too scary. Even giant mammoths and battle kodo beasts paled in comparison. When Fatty Hai saw it, he was so scared that he fell to the ground. Oh my God, such a big dumb beetle? Yi Kong's teeth were also trembling. Is this a level 7 monster? Luckily, it's not an elite ranked, it's just a normal ranked level 7, otherwise we'd all be dead. The long-haired girl didn't agree, and immediately retorted, "What's wrong with your eyes? It's obviously a level 8 double-forked rhinoceros beetle, also known as the war god Hercules beetle. Normally, people call it the Hercules beetle. It's a rhinoceros beetle, different from dung beetles. Dung beetles are a type of beetle known as dung beetles. Most people call them dung beetles or dung beetles." Level 8? When Fatty Hai heard this, he immediately cried in fear. Even if it was a normal-ranked level 8 monster, Fatty Hai couldn't imagine how terrifying it would be. Moreover, this Hercules beetle with a body like a small hill, just by relying on its body, it could charge around on the battlefield, sweeping everything in its path. What was a battle kodo beast? Compared to it, it didn't even have a fifth of its size. If they were hit by the Hercules beetle's 3 horns, they would probably be sent flying into the sky. However, Fatty Hai cried in vain. The Hercules beetle didn't seem to care about anyone at all. It climbed into the valley with a loud rumble. It even turned a blind eye to Hui Tai Lang, who jumped on its back. Everyone was curious. What was going on? Didn't it climb out to fight? Princess Qi Ming suddenly realized something. She screamed and pointed towards a direction in the valley. It wants to eat the black-eared spheres that are about to bloom. Quickly stop it, otherwise it will eat all the black-eared spheres. When Yu Yang heard this, he hurriedly chased after her. Raising his Hui Jin magic blade, he ignited his purple flames and slashed at the Hercules beetle's hind leg with the force of a thunderbolt. Boom! The sound of the slashing was like thunder from a clear sky, reverberating throughout the entire valley. However, when everyone looked, the Hercules beetle didn't react at all. It continued to crawl forward as if nothing had happened, completely ignoring Yu Yang's heavy slash. Everyone's jaws dropped to the ground, their tongues hanging out. What kind of level of defense was this? Even if it was an incomparably hard rock, if it was hit by such a heavy slash, it would probably shatter into pieces. At the very least, it would leave a deep scar on the rock. However, there was nothing on the Hercules beetle's hind leg. Hui Tai Lang raised its sharp claws that could easily split rocks and gold, and used the chrysanthemum exploding skill that Yu Yang taught it to ruthlessly slash at the Hercules beetle's weakest point. In the end, it still didn't have any effect. The iron rod in Yi Kong's hands fell to the ground with a clang, and he knelt down powerlessly. It was a level 8 beast, and a Hercules beetle with such a terrifying defense. Wanting to bite its outer shell and injure it was simply wishful thinking. Of course, it had a weakness, and that was the spiracles that were protected by the hard shell. It had 18 spiracles, but they were all located on its abdomen. Furthermore, it had an extremely hard exoskeleton and a hard shell that was even stronger than metal armor for protection. Yu Yang also frowned. He felt that this Hercules beetle didn't have a strong attack power, nor did it have a strong desire to attack. However, its defense was too abnormal. How could he stop it from eating those precious black-eared spheres? It might be a good idea to attack its mouth or compound eyes, but there was a certain level of danger. If he was hit by its 3 horns, it wouldn't be a joke. Yu Yang used his innate qi to release a soaring purple flame, preparing to give it a final attack. If he really couldn't do it, he might as well take out a portion of the black-eared spheres and see if he could lure it away. Seeing that Yu Yang was about to continue attacking, Princess Qi Ming hurriedly waved her hands and said, "Brother, don't attack. The Hercules beetle's defense is very strong, attacking it is useless. Furthermore, it has a terrifying strength. It can easily lift up objects that are 800 times heavier than its body. If you are hit by it, you will be smashed to pieces. Bei, you are most familiar with insects. Do you know what other weaknesses the Hercules beetle has other than its spiracles? I know. Touching the Hercules beetles but will make it crawl faster." Little Princess Bei's words made Yu Yang fall to the ground. Maybe a normal Hercules beetle would be like that, but this guy in front of him was as big as a small mountain. Would that work? Furthermore, touching its butt. This was too embarrassing. Yu Yang's habit had always been to pick up girls by himself. He would let others do the embarrassing things. He waved his hands and said, "Master Hai, come here. Touch its butt." Fatty Hai was shocked when he heard this. Touching its butt. How could such a good thing happen to him? He cried out in surprise, "Why me?" Yu Yang replied very logically, "It's very simple. Because you are the boss." Fatty Hai first cried out miserably, then said with tears in his eyes, feeling extremely wronged, "Why didn't everyone think of me, the boss, when picking up girls? Take it down first. Picking up girls is easy. You are the boss, so everyone will definitely let you go first. Quick, touch its butt. Take it down. You have to show the demeanor of a boss. You have to stroke its butt gently and smile without saying a word." Yu Yang lectured Fatty Hai, ordering him to take action immediately. He, the long-haired girl and the other children were all laughing secretly. "No, I don't want to. What I mean is that I'm too fat. It's impossible for me to touch a 10-meter tall butt. That's why I can't help even if I want to." Fatty Hai felt that if he were to fall from such a high altitude, he would at least get a concussion. Furthermore, if he were to touch the Hercules beetles but in such a vulgar manner in front of everyone, would he still be able to pick up girls? Fatty Hai refused no matter what. He would rather let Yu Yang tie him up and cut him into pieces than to lose face like this. No matter what, he was still a boss. Just when Yu Yang was about to fly into a rage and roast Fatty Hai into a suckling pig, a Herculean rhinoceros beetle slowly crawled out of the huge pit in the back. This beetle was 10 times smaller than the previous one. Although it was as big as a long-tusked mammoth, even a blind person could see that it was a young beast. Normal ranked level 4, I should be able to bite this one. Yu Yang used his Hui Jin magic blade to fiercely slash at the young beast. Although it looked unharmed on the outside, the young Hercules beetle was injured. Yu Yang's innate qi penetrated through its thick shell. The purple flames of the Hui Jin magic blade seeped into its body, scalding it until it cried out in pain. When the young beast was attacked, the Hercules beetle was immediately enraged. It turned around fiercely and rushed towards Yu Yang with a rumbling sound. Its sharp horns were like hundreds of steel spears tied together. It was extremely terrifying as it pierced towards Yu Yang's tiny body. Seeing that this move was effective, Yu Yang immediately dodged it and used another spherical beheader on the back of the young Hercules beetle. If he wanted to kill this young beast, he only needed to use his full strength to deal a fatal blow. However, in order to stall for time, Yu Yang did not do that. "What are you guys waiting for? Quickly go and see if the black-eared sphere has bloomed." Yu Yang shouted towards the dumbstruck crowd and lured the Hercules beetle away. Hui Tai Lang was also helping from the side. From time to time, he would jump over and spit a ball of black flames towards the Hercules beetle's head, threatening it to retreat and leave the valley. "There's still half an hour, brother, hold on a little longer." Little Princess Bei Bei's words almost made Yu Yang sweat to death. If he lured the enemy for so long, wouldn't he die of exhaustion? On a faraway cliff. In the darkness, the eagle-eyed guy turned around and left. This idiot, he only has brute force, but doesn't have any knowledge about beasts. Half an hour later, when Bei Bei and the others had finished harvesting the black-eared shriveled heart orchid that had just sprouted from the black-eared sphere, Yu Yang and Hui Tai Lang ran back from afar and shouted, "Who wants to contract the young Hercules beetle? Although it's not an attack-type beast, its defense is extremely strong. It's not bad to use it as a meat shield. Who wants it? If you don't want it, I'll just kill it and take its magic crystal. Hurry up, that giant Hercules beetle will be back soon." Fatty Hai insisted on his own opinion. "As your boss, I won't contract any beasts other than beautiful gold king-tier beasts. Moreover, I already have an iron rhinoceros as a meat shield." "We don't want it, it's too ugly and too big." The long-haired girl and the 5 kids waved their hands to reject. "Then I want it." Yi Kong stood up. Although it was a normal level 4, the Hercules beetle's defense made Yi Kong see hope. Furthermore, he understood that if there was no future, Yu Yang would not be merciful and let everyone think of ways to contract the young Hercules beetle. "Don't tell me that you have a special liking for its chrysanthemum? I'm looking forward to the scene of you caressing the young Hercules beetle's chrysanthemum and smiling without saying a word." All right, I didn't say anything." Fatty Hai had originally wanted to mock Yi Kong, but when he realized that everyone was glaring at him, he was so scared that he quickly retracted his head and pretended to be pitiful. "Hit him however you want, but don't hit his face." Only then did everyone let him off. Yi Kong faced the dying young Hercules beetle and used 5 contract scrolls in a row, but he still did not succeed. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Little Princess Bei Bei handed him the last scroll. If he still failed, then there would be no hope. Originally, it was normal to fail to contract a beast, but Yi Kong did not want Yu Yang to be disappointed. He did not want Yu Yang to create such a good opportunity for him to waste it. "Calm down, you will definitely succeed. The giant Hercules beetle is coming back soon. Hui Tai Lang and I will lure it away. 5 minutes, you should use these 5 minutes to meditate and adjust your mind. Be one with your body. Don't be nervous when you control your spiritual energy." Yu Yang encouraged him and went to lure the giant Hercules beetle away with Hui Tai Lang. Of course, he actually had another goal. When he was luring the giant Hercules beetle from afar, he discovered a strange plant bulb. Not only the normal demon insects, even the giant Hercules beetle did not dare to go near it. Yu Yang decided to take advantage of the time when Yi Kong was contracting the young Hercules beetle and spend some time to understand it. He wanted to see what this mysterious plant bulb was. Even his level 3 divine vision could not see through it. What could it be? Yu Yang decided to summon the thorny flower and let it use its roots to connect to the plant bulb. Then, he would transfer his innate qi over to sense it. Chapter 130. The gigantic rhinoceros beetle waited for Yu Yang to get close to the strange plant, then immediately turned around and retreated. Yu Yang estimated that the gigantic rhinoceros beetle would need at least 3 minutes to crawl back, which was more than enough time for him to make a contract. Thus, he walked in front of the strange plant and prepared to summon the thorny flower that was still in the midst of mutation. Unexpectedly, the plant suddenly wriggled, and the cactus-like thorny outer shell slowly opened up. A ray of white light diffused out, appearing incomparably holy. The surrounding filthy ground was illuminated by this white light, and countless black spots melted away, turning into black gas that rose up into the air. At first, Yu Yang thought that there was a pearl inside the plant, just like a pearl stored in a shell. When the white light was not so dazzling, Yu Yang stretched his head over to take a look, and was stunned. Inside the plant there was a layer of coconut-like pulp, and in the middle of the pulp that was almost eaten, there was actually a beetle with a body that was as translucent as jade. It looked a bit like the rhinoceros beetle, but its horns were not as protruding, and were not as sharp. The horns looked completely harmless, giving off a smooth and glossy feeling. The entire beetle looked like a man-made sculpture that had been polished and polished into a work of art. Its entire body was as translucent as white jade, only its compound eyes had a hint of purplish gold, and its entire body was without any impurities. Its small horns, small claws, and small body were all extremely cute. Yu Yang was secretly surprised. Even with his level 3 divine vision, he could not see through this beetle? Hui Tai Lang seemed to hate this white jade beetle that was the size of an infant's fist. The reason was that the energy within the beetle's body was pure light energy, which seemed to be able to disperse the demonic energy on Hui Tai Lang's body. Thus, Hui Tai Lang was unwilling to approach this white jade beetle. If it was any other beetle with such abundant energy, Hui Tai Lang would have already swallowed it whole. Yu Yang stretched out his hand, and picked up this white jade beetle. If not for the fact that its claws and horns were slightly wriggling, Yu Yang would have really suspected that it was a work of art carved out of white jade. This was also a living creature? In the filthy demon abyss, how could there be a living creature with such pure energy? There were all sorts of strange things in the world. Yu Yang flipped open the beast encyclopedia. After looking through the category of insect-type beasts for a long time, he still couldn't find a beast that matched this white jade beetle. Using his true qi to test it, he injected a tiny bit of it, and immediately, countless rays of white light spread out. Grey Wolf seemed to feel uncomfortable in the white light, and immediately jumped several meters away from the area enveloped by the white light. Yu Yang studied it for a while but still couldn't figure out what was going on. He was sure that this was a good thing, but he didn't know what kind of beast this white jade beetle was. The white jade beetle didn't struggle. Even when Yu Yang flipped it over and over, it only wiggled its little claws. Most of the time, it just sat there quietly, as if it was sleeping. Forget it, I'll pick it up and see what it is. Yu Yang had just placed the white jade beetle into his backpack when he suddenly saw the Grey Wolf monkey pouncing on the white fruit. Yu Yang gave it a flying kick. Good fellow, seeing such a good thing, it ignored its master's words. Woof woof woof. The Grey Wolf quickly acted obedient and wagged its tail, putting on an "I'm very obedient" look. Could this fruit's flesh be used to cultivate beasts? Yu Yang used his true qi to check and found that this fruit's flesh had the same life energy as the oak tree's heart, but it was slightly weaker. Furthermore, there was another kind of pure energy that Yu Yang couldn't name. Yu Yang thought that if this fruit's flesh was used to cultivate beasts, especially young beasts, it might even be better than eating magic crystals. This was because the energy in this fruit's flesh was too pure, with almost no impurities. It was no wonder that the Grey Wolf was drooling. The white jade beetle had eaten most of the strange plant's flesh, Only the outer layer was left. Yu Yang dug out a piece and gave it to the gray wolf. This gluttonous fellow was like Zhu Beiji swallowing ginseng fruit. He didn't even touch it with his teeth before it reached his stomach. On the contrary, Yu Yang asked little Wen Li to come out and give her a piece. She took it and smelled it, then gave it back to Yu Yang. She didn't seem to be interested in this thing. Yu Yang was sweating profusely as he caressed her little head. Little kids can't be too picky. Xiao Wenli still shook her head. She hugged Yu Yang's thigh with her 6 small arms and acted like a spoiled child. When Yu Yang passed the piece of fruit to her, she took it and looked like she was about to eat it. Her small hands moved, but she secretly threw it to Hui Tai Lang. She turned into a rainbow light and floated into Yu Yang's body to sleep. Yu Yang was sweating profusely as he watched. However, the gray wolf was overjoyed. He ate another piece of the fruit's flesh, happily wagging his tail. For another test, Yu Yang summoned the Bloody Queen. She took a piece of the fruit's flesh and ate it. She first nodded her head, then shook her head. She spoke in the demon abyss language, and even made a few hand gestures. It was a pity that Yu Yang didn't understand at all. Judging from the Bloody Queen's hand gestures, she was saying that this piece of fruit's flesh tasted good, but the real core was gone. Yu Yang guessed that the best part had already been eaten by the white jade beetle. As for the rest of the fruit's flesh, little Wen Li wasn't interested. The Bloody Queen's attitude was average. She liked to eat it, but she wasn't drooling like the gray wolf. I'll keep it first. Who knows, it might be useful in the future. Yu Yang had always felt that it was not enough no matter how many treasures he had. He placed the entire bulb into his lich ring. With this ring, Yu Yang would be able to collect treasures even more easily. A rumbling sound could be heard from afar. In the sky, 5 children riding on flying beasts screamed as they rushed over. Before they arrived, their voices could be heard. The swarm of insects is here, let's teleport back quickly. Below the valley, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai and the others were running in a sorry state. Even more black-winged insects and blood-sucking mosquitoes were buzzing, pressing down like a dark cloud. However, the scariest one was still the gigantic rhinoceros beetle. Its gigantic body was rampaging, chasing after Yi Kong and the others. Its momentum shook the valley. From time to time, it would sweep the walls with its gigantic horn, sending rocks flying everywhere. If Yi Kong, Fatty Hai and the others were caught by it, they would probably be crushed into meat paste. What are you guys waiting for? Hurry up and use the teleportation scroll. Yu Yang was sweating profusely. In such a dangerous situation, why did they still run over to find him? We have no problem, but Fatty Hai needs some time to use the teleportation scroll. Before Yi Kong could finish his sentence, Yu Yang had already taken out his Hui Jin magic blade and charged towards the furious gigantic rhinoceros beetle. As for Hui Tai Lang, he roared towards the sky, emitting a demonic aura from his whole body, threatening the restless swarm of insects. After everyone had teleported away, Yu Yang brought Hui Tai Lang and teleported away from the gigantic rhinoceros beetle's head. At this time, another even more terrifying swarm of insects had appeared in the sky. It was the demon bee swarm that liked to parasitize living creatures. Yu Yang felt that the demon abyss was indeed terrifying. No wonder the creatures that grew up in the demon abyss were much stronger than the creatures in the soaring dragon continent. The environment here was too harsh. Only the fittest survived. Those that could survive were naturally the strongest. Very good, everyone has returned safely. The long-haired girl realized that none of the 5 children were missing. Although Yi Kong, Fatty Hai and the others were battered and exhausted, they had returned safely. As for the last one to return, Yu Yang, she was not worried at all. This was because Yu Yang's battle power was the foundation of everyone's survival. If it wasn't for him, these 2 small groups of people would have already been annihilated. Newbies, you guys are too late. I've already slept for a while. The arrogant man mocked them mercilessly. Look, what did you guys bring back? Empty-handed. Haha, you guys want to stay in our death class with this kind of strength? Sure, Luan, don't go overboard. If you can become the weekly champion, it won't be too late to show off in front of us. The long-haired girl's face darkened as she ridiculed him. All of you shut up. Now, go to the medical center and deliver the medicine. Complete the mission. The black-armored eagle-eyed man walked over and shouted. On the black stone plaza, all the waiting students of the death class lined up and walked towards the middle-aged doctor to open the teleportation gate. Yu Yang did not want to go at first. He could leave the matter of obtaining rewards to Fatty Hai, the boss. However, little Princess Bei Bei pulled his hand and insisted that he go with them. He could not dissuade this little royal loli and could only go with them. This medical center was extremely huge. It was at least 10 times bigger than the medical center that Yu Yang had seen on the first floor of Tong Tian Tower. There was a huge plaza on the periphery. There were 3 tall buildings standing in a triangular formation. The moment they teleported out, they realized that the plaza was filled with people. Most of them were soldiers. Then there were students wearing different school uniforms. Some were wearing Shangjing Academy's emblem, and some were wearing an emblem that Yu Yang could not recognize. However, all of them were elite. The ground was densely packed with injured soldiers. Just by looking at it, there were probably more than 3,000 people. Yu Yang secretly confirmed his guess. Indeed, it was not only the Ivy Academy that was gathering herbs. All the teams that knew how to gather herbs had been sent out. The mission that the Ivy Academy was in charge of was 300 people. If they did not gather enough black-eared shriveled heart orchids, then the soldiers in the mission would die. Yu Yang calculated in his heart. The Ivy Academy's mission should not be a big problem. However, would the other academies be able to achieve the same goal? Ivy Academy students, please come over here to hand in the medicine. A beautiful female doctor with a sweet voice welcomed them. She guided the Ivy Academy's death class students to the front of a benevolent-looking old granny. She bowed slightly and said, "Doctor, the Ivy Academy is here to hand in the medicine. Looks like their results are not bad. Very good. You are in charge of recording down their contributions. The country will give double the reward to the outstanding students." The old granny took over every medicine bag and checked it carefully. Most of the students in the Ivy Academy's death class had more than 10 herbs. Only 5 of them did not pass. However, the old granny still sincerely thanked them and said, "Every single black-eared shriveled heart orchid can save a life. You have already done very well. Furthermore, the herbs that you have gathered are completely correct. There are no mistakes or waste product. You are all extremely outstanding children. I hope that you will continue to work hard in the future." This old granny still stamped a pass stamp on the points cards of the students who did not have enough herbs. With this, there was an objection from the side. It was a male student from Shangjing Academy. He stood out and loudly criticized, "Doctor, this is not fair. Why is it that I have met the requirements of the mission, yet you still gave me a fail? And they did not meet the requirements, yet you gave them a pass? Young child, I thought that you knew the reason." "What is the reason?" "Because they did not cheat. To save someone, you must first save with your heart. You cannot just treat it as a mission. The 10 stalks that you handed over were indeed all black-eared shriveled heart orchid. But because you took the ones that others had gathered, 2 types of black-eared shriveled heart orchids that had been gathered by different people were mixed together. Although the inner eye could not see any problems, in reality, it would affect the quality of the herbs. Luckily you did not mix too much, otherwise all of them would have become waste product. This little student, I hope that you will remember that honesty is the foundation of saving people. For the herbs that you have painstakingly gathered on behalf of the wounded, I want to thank you for your hard work. But as a doctor, I cannot give you a pass." The old granny's words made that male student feel ashamed. Yu Yang looked at the various recording boards. The number of herbs that the students from the various academies had gathered added up to close to 200 stalks. The only exception was Shangjing Academy, which had more than 500 stalks. There were even some elite soldiers who had gathered less than 100 stalks of herbs. Seeing such a result, Yu Yang's heart instantly sucked in a breath of cold air. More than 3,000 poisoned soldiers, and now the herbs that they had gathered were not even 1,000 stalks. Then what about the remaining 2,000 soldiers? Could it be that other than the black-eared shriveled heart orchids, was there really no other way? The pure energy of the white jade beetle had the effect of dispersing demonic qi. Who knew how it would be against poison? Yu Yang sank into deep thought. Chapter 131. On the record board, there was the ranking of the school and the students. Shangjing Academy was at the top of both records. Shangjing Academy had gathered 502 herbs, their record far surpassing the other schools. Even the sum of all the herb-gathering teams could not match up to Shangjing Academy. The person at the top of the list of students was Yen Pejun. Yu Yang realized that this guy had actually gathered 45 black-eared shriveled heart orchid. It seemed that he was quite knowledgeable about herbs. Next was Feng Qisha, who was ranked second with 36 herbs. As for that brat Shui Tanlang, Yu Yang realized that he was a martial arts fanatic. His knowledge of medicinal herbs was very limited. He only managed to gather 10 herbs, which was barely a passing grade. Yen Pejun gathered 45 herbs? The Ivy Academy students who were queuing up to hand over their herbs also discovered this ranking board. Immediately there was an uproar. So handsome, as expected of the 3 great killing stars. For a moment, the girls' eyes were filled with little stars. This arrogant guy. Fatty Hai was extremely jealous. You guys, why did you come here empty-handed? The boy who was scolded just now couldn't help but laugh when he saw Yu Yang, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai coming here empty-handed. Don't tell me you guys can't even gather one herb? As expected of Ivy Academy students. TSK. Ivy Academy students have this kind of quality. No matter how low our quality is, we won't cheat. Are the students of your Shangjing Academy so outstanding? Alright, you guys are all outstanding, all of you are experts at cheating. The long-haired girl laughed coldly. How can you say that? When the 2 companions behind the boy heard this, they seemed to have been stabbed in the foot, glaring angrily. Do you want to fight? The thief girl who was the fastest in gathering herbs flashed out. Her eyes were as cold as daggers as she stared at the Shangjing Academy students. Anytime. Enough, after you guys hand over your herbs, Scram. Don't cause trouble here. The eagle-eyed guy shouted. Immediately, the Shangjing Academy students who had surrounded them retreated. Before leaving, the boy who cheated threw down some harsh word. Ivy Academy students, remember this. When the time comes, we will meet at the 100 Schools Elite competition. At that time, it will be clear who is better and who is worse. Today, you have a teacher protecting you. When it comes to the competition, let's see if he can still protect you. As long as you trash dare to go up the stage, see if I don't beat you up. What bullsh***, a cheater dares to show off here. Fatty Hai was so angry that his nose almost became crooked. I don't want to talk to a piece of trash who would be beaten down after 10 seconds on stage. That boy completely looked down on Fatty Hai and left with his eyes on the top of his head. Don't stop me. I want to beat him up, don't stop me. Fatty Hai was furious. He rubbed his palms together, pretending to rush forward and fight to the death with the other party. Pig, I dawn you. With your strength, you is you. I reckon that in his hands, you would at most be able to hold on for 10 seconds before falling to the ground. If you want to die, then go ahead. We won't stop you. Don't worry, after you die, I promise to collect your corpse. Master Hi. Yang Academy, he there, you, he you Academy, you is. If you hi you. I have you. No, if he goes through special training, young Master Hai will still have a chance to win if they really fight. Yu Yang shook her head in disagreement. This training is a bit difficult. Normal people might not be able to handle it. So, forget it. Yu Yang said. This special training is a little difficult. A normal person might not be able to handle it. So, let's just forget about it. Yu Yang was obviously thinking that Fatty Hai couldn't handle the hardship. What did you say? I was born into this world for special training. Do you think I am a normal person? Can an ordinary person have a body as fat and strong as mine? Let me tell you, there is nothing in this world that I, Master Hai, can't do. Sometimes, when I go berserk, not to mention others, even I am afraid. Isn't it just training? To me, it's a piece of cake. Don't tell me that I have to eat a bowl of braised pork every day. Let me tell you, although it is difficult, I dare to tell you that I have no problem. Fatty Hai patted his chest, stirring up waves of flesh. Why would I be friends with a pig? I regret it. Yi Kong covered his head, feeling extremely dejected. Idiot. The Ivy Academy students hurriedly moved away from Fatty Hai, in case others misunderstood that they knew this guy. Students, these are the black-eared shriveled heart orchids that have just bloomed? The old lady doctor, who had been smiling calmly, couldn't help but be moved when she saw Princess Chi Ming and little Princess Bei Bei handing over the herbs. Hundreds of black-eared shriveled heart orchids? You must have discovered the black-eared orchid. Children, you have done well. Every one of these herbs has double the effect. I thank you on behalf of the soldiers. Children, because of your hard work, you will save even more lives. This time we were lucky to succeed, but I still want to criticize you when you are praised. This method is very dangerous, especially when you lack sufficient protection. Waiting for the black-eared orchids to bloom is a mistake. The eagle-eyed guy poured cold water on Princess Chi Ming and the others' happiness. Indeed, children, in the demon abyss, any precious herbs that bloom or bear fruit will be hunted by powerful beasts. Waiting for the black-eared orchids to bloom is dangerous. Children, you are the future of the country. Even if our soldiers die, they would not be willing to see you, who are so young, sacrifice your precious lives to save them. Remember, children, the first thing we think of should be to complete the mission. As for completing the mission in excess, you must first think about whether you possess powerful strength. You have done well, but it makes me very worried. I can't bear to scold you, but I have to remind you that you must be careful when you complete missions in the future. Heading to the dangerous demon abyss, you must be 100 times, 1,000 times more careful than when you do missions normally. The old lady doctor stood up and kissed the children's faces one by one. Finally, she carried little Princess Bei Bei and warned them gently. We have Big Brother to protect us. These herbs, they also have a share. Little Princess Bei Bei pointed at Yu Yang, Yi Kong and the others. Really? As expected, I guessed correctly. The old lady doctor looked at Yu Yang, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai and the Li brothers one by one. Finally, she turned her gaze back to Yu Yang and nodded slightly. You have done well. I will give every one of you excellence. Other than that, I also want to tell you that you have worked hard. Your performance is worthy of the title of human elite. Fatty Hai's eyes brimmed with tears when he heard this. He had always been trash, but this was the first time he had heard such an honorable praise. He was so moved that he almost cried. Yi Kong and the Li brothers also felt their blood boiling. They had originally thought that they would starve to death in Tong Tian Tower, but they did not expect that after meeting Yu Yang, they did not starve to death. Instead, they turned from trash to human elite. Of course, they were also clearly aware that there was actually still a gap between their strength and that of human elite. These honors were all earned by Yu Yang. However, as a member of Yu Yang's team, they also had the reason to feel proud and honored. Although he wasn't an elite human right now, there would be a day when he would be worthy of this glorious title. Especially under his leadership, as long as he followed his footsteps closely, he would be able to step into the forefront of the elites. Yi Kong and the Li clan brothers looked at Yu Yang, their eyes blazing with pride, like a raging flame. These words, they would not say it out loud, but they would engrave it in their hearts and use their whole lives to realize it. Are these herbs enough? Yu Yang asked a question that all the students, including the 3 great killing stars, had never asked before. When the old lady doctor heard this, her expression changed slightly. On the contrary, the black-armored eagle-eyed man's expression was a little matter-of-fact, because he had always been secretly observing Yu Yang. Whether it was Yu Yang's gaze sweeping over the injured, or looking at the herb recording board, or his following thoughts, everything was seen by the black-armored eagle-eyed man. As early as in the demon abyss, the eagle-eyed man had already discovered that Yu Yang was completely different from the others, so he paid extra attention to him. Towards the questioning Yu Yang, the old lady doctor first muttered to herself, then lightly shook her head. Originally, there were less than 1,000 herbs. Adding the 400 herbs that your Ivy Academy collected, the total is 1,390 herbs. Your last 100 herbs can produce double the medicinal efficacy, but it can only save around 1,500 people. However, the number of poisoned soldiers is more than 5,000. Just what you saw in the plaza, there are more than 3,000 people. Why didn't you send more people to collect them? Yu Yang was curious. Why didn't the army send more soldiers to collect the herbs? In the army, other than military doctors, how would ordinary soldiers know how to collect black-eared shriveled heart orchids? Besides, there are no more black-eared shriveled heart orchids to be collected. Your harvest is already a pleasant surprise. In order to save people, we gathered the most elite students in a few academies and took a huge risk to send you all to the demon abyss. This is already the biggest gamble. To tell the truth, although I am a doctor who saves people, I am opposed to doing this. Because as long as you are discovered by the army of the demon abyss, then there is a possibility that the entire army will be wiped out. You all are the future of the Xia Empire. We should not use you all to gamble. However, this is His Majesty's order, so I can only nod my head in agreement. Fortunately, all of you have returned safely. Children, you all do not need to feel guilty. You all have already done extremely well. Our rescued soldiers, as well as their loved ones, will all thank you for your efforts. As for the remaining soldiers who cannot be rescued, I will think of a way to extend their lives, so that before they leave, they can see their loved ones one last time. The old lady doctor's voice was filled with pity, as if she saw her own loved ones about to leave. Then the 3,000 people who cannot be rescued, how do they choose? They are all the same soldiers. Are they to draw lots, or according to merits? Yu Yang felt that no matter who died and who lived, the choice was a difficult problem. Who would be willing to die in a situation where they could be saved? Who would be willing to watch helplessly as others were rescued and revived, while they themselves died? It's very difficult to choose, but the soldiers themselves have already made the decision. Young soldiers who are the only child in their family, or who have just given birth to a baby, or whose parents are old and so on, will be given priority in treatment. The old soldiers who have been on the battlefield for their entire lives are willing to set an example for the younger generation. This is not the first time we have done something like this, and it will not be the last. Students, this is where the spirit of our Xia Empire lies. As long as the martial spirit does not die, the old soldiers will take the lead. It is precisely because of our generations of sacrifices that there is today's Xia Empire, that there is hope for tomorrow. When you all grow up and see more things, then you will understand the wishes of the old soldiers. If the humans of the soaring dragon continent did not have such a noble spirit of sacrifice, I'm afraid that we would have long been conquered by the demon abyss. The old lady doctor finally nodded towards Yu Yang and said, "Just like how you all risked your lives to protect the children while gathering medicinal herbs, Your actions and the choice of the old soldiers are essentially the same. The soldiers in the plaza all voluntarily gave up on treatment. That's why they came to the plaza to bid farewell to their loved ones. The eagle-eyed man suddenly interjected. Yu Yang's heart was immediately filled with deep veneration. No wonder the soldiers in the plaza all looked so old, some of them even had white hair. It turned out that they were the old soldiers who had volunteered to sacrifice themselves. Yu Yang was shocked by their spirit of sacrifice. In the face of life and death, how many people could do this? In China's Xia dynasty, there were countless onlookers, bystanders, push-ups, and people who did not save the dying. The various kinds of indifference in society made Yu Yang's heart deeply shut. What he saw the most were ungrateful people who repaid kindness with enmity. What he saw the most were vile people who bared their fangs and brandished their claws, while kind-hearted people cried bitterly. Things like scamming, dying from depression, dying from nightmares, entrapment, beating people without seeing blood, etc., made Yu Yang's heart feel incomparably cold. Kindness? Honesty? Weren't these things the weaknesses that some people exploited? He had always felt that the spirit of sacrificing oneself for others had long been spurned by others. Only fools would do that. In the past, there were indeed people who did good deeds like Lei Feng. But now, if anyone did it casually, they would be courting death. Of course, there were still people who did it, but what they got in return was tears of pain. For example, when they saw a bag being robbed, they would be stabbed. Even the person who was robbed would not admit that they had acted bravely for a just cause. They would even think that this fellow was a busybody. When they helped an old lady, they would have to pay 49,000. When they picked up the money and handed it to the authorities, they would immediately be thought that they were hiding a portion of it. After transmigrating, they arrived at the soaring dragon continent. Yu Yang discovered that the world here was completely different from the one he knew in the past. In China's Xia dynasty, he behaved very normally. But here, he became a different species. To protect himself, not letting himself get hurt, everything was for his own benefit. In China's Xia dynasty, Yu Yang believed that there were countless people who thought like him. However, in the soaring dragon continent it was the opposite. Fourth Mother could go bankrupt for him. She used the money she had saved for more than 10 years to buy a spirit beast awakening knowledge pill for her adopted son. But his own daughter did not even have the money to learn skills. If Fourth Mother did it for her family, then what about these old soldiers? The old soldiers here must have been bathed in blood on the battlefield, rolling around in piles of corpses. It was not easy for them to come back alive. In the last moment of life and death, they chose to sacrifice themselves for others without hesitation. They gave their chance to be saved to others, to young people whom they did not know but had more hope. If he did not see it with his own eyes, Yu Yang would not dare to believe that this was the truth. There were also people who sacrificed themselves for others in China's Xia dynasty. The Yan Huang clan had countless heroes, so the fire of civilization was able to continue, becoming the only one among the 4 great civilizations. In the soaring dragon continent, the reason why the Xia dynasty could stand for thousands of years without falling was probably because of this kind of spirit. It was because of the dedication and sacrifice of the predecessors. That was why the younger generation could continue to grow and multiply, passed down from generation to generation. Let's go, we have tried our best. The eagle-eyed guy patted Yu Yang's shoulder and waved his hand to order the students of the death class. Everyone, return to the academy and continue training tomorrow. Competition is cruel. If you don't want to be eliminated by others, then you must be stronger than anyone else, be more outstanding than anyone else. Yu Yang followed the team and left, looking at the poisoned soldiers around him. He discovered that although these old soldiers' faces were black, their expressions were calm and even proud. Many soldiers surrounded them, helping these old soldiers change into brand new military uniforms. Some of the old soldiers' chests were decorated with all kinds of medals, as dazzling as the stars. When Yu Yang saw countless doctors carrying bowls of farewell wine, they passed it to the old soldiers one by one. Even those who were so heavily injured that they could not hold a bowl, they also held back their tears, dipped their fingers in the wine, and gently smeared it on their lip. General! A few soldiers helped an old man with white hair and beard to wear a dazzling general's star. The youngest soldier's eyes suddenly reddened as he wiped his tears. Bastard, what are you howling for, Scram? Don't embarrass me, I have already earned enough. The old man's voice was weak, but his aura was like that of an old lion. General, you can't leave like this, you still have to bring us to continue fighting. If you leave, what are we going to do? The youngest soldier cried bitterly. I am already tired, I don't want to fight anymore, I just want to have a comfortable sleep now. For so many years, I have never rested, every day I am either fighting here or there, I have received a lot of medals and whatnot, but I don't even have the time to have a good sleep. It is all because of you bastards, you make me worry every day, it is not easy to turn you from cowards into real soldiers, these years are really tiring. You guys work hard, don't think about embarrassing me, otherwise, even if you go to the underworld, I will still kick your butts. Bring the wine, ever since I heard that damn doctor say that I will stop drinking, I have not drunk a drop of wine in 3 months, now I am about to die, I don't care about him, bring all the wine, I will be a happy drunkard before I die, haha. When the old man changed into the general's uniform, Yu Yang saw that his body was full of densely packed scars. Some of the scars were terrible, the wounds were so deep that the bones could be seen. A poisoned general actually did not receive treatment? Of course not, if he did not personally refuse, he would probably be the first to receive treatment. But why did he refuse treatment? Could it be that he was really willing to sacrifice himself to give a young man a chance? Yu Yang was a little curious, he could not help but take large strides over, and asked, Are you really a general? Hearing this, the old man's face was full of astonishment. Suddenly, he laughed involuntarily and asked, Brat, you don't know me? Alright, that brat Jun Wu Yu even praised me, saying that everyone in the whole Xia kingdom knows me, everyone knows me. I already knew that brat was just bragging. His goal was to trick people into working for him. Luckily I did not become complacent, otherwise I would have lost a lot of face. The black-armored eagle-eyed man appeared behind Yu Yang, and his voice became even more respectful. This is General Dao Feng, the leader of the Xia Kingdom's 10 great generals. What 10 great generals? They are all just dead old ghosts. If they were really that awesome, I would not be the only one left after dying. They have all left, after so many years, I have had enough. Why is it that they are enjoying incense offerings in the martial spirit chamber every day, but I have to risk my life with these old bones? Even Yu Hai, that fellow, has given up, why should I still persist? Suffering like this every day, being called one of the 10 great generals, don't the wounds on my body hurt? I'm not even allowed to drink a cup of wine, living like this is meaningless. Why don't I go to hell and meet up with those old ghosts? The old man's name made Yu Yang slightly stunned. The name General Dao Feng, even though he had not transmigrated for long, he had heard of it before. General Dao Feng was the leader of the Xia Kingdom's 10 great generals, and also the only one left. This old general's age was unknown, it was said that he was already more than 200 years old, and was the most experienced person in the army. He entered the army at the age of 18 to train, and was promoted to general at the age of 40. Then, he worked hard until now and achieved countless merit. Even a few books would not be enough to finish writing his biography. Originally, with his merits and abilities, it was more than enough for him to become the country's Grand Marshal. However, the strange thing was that he refused to be promoted to Grand Marshal 10 times, and insisted on being a general. The reason was unknown to the world, only Jun Wu Yu, the Xia Emperor, and Elder Yu Hai, who he strongly recommended to be promoted to Grand Marshal, knew. This General Daofeng in the Xia Kingdom's army was practically a living fossil. At the same time, he was also a lucky general. He had escaped from death countless times, and had fought thousands of battles in his life. He had never experienced a complete wipeout. Even in the harshest environment, under a crushing defeat, he was still able to preserve the strength of his Daofeng army. The Daofeng army, which he had personally built and trained, could be said to be the leader of the Xia Kingdom's three great armies. Who would have thought that such a legendary person would actually refuse treatment, give the chance of survival to his subordinates, and lie on the plaza waiting for death? Why? Isn't it better to be alive? If you're not here, who will lead your soldiers to battle? Are you really at ease leaving the Daofeng army to others? Yu Yang discovered that he had the talent of a gossip reporter. I'm about to die, why would I care so much? The old man was quite open-minded. What if you can survive? Yu Yang paused and asked. Actually, I'm tired of living. If I want to live, I can live now. Who in this world wouldn't die? For someone like me to live for 200 years and still have to fight a war, my life is too bitter. I'm a soldier, a veteran. I should die on the battlefield with glory, and not on a comfortable bed. In this battle, although the demon abyss killed over 3,000 of my subordinates, I didn't lose out either. I killed over 30,000 of their soldiers, and even killed 2 demon commanders. So, dying now doesn't matter. If I wait until I'm so old that I can't even lift my blade, and get killed by a green-skinned creature, that would be sad. The old man struggled to sit up. He first looked into the distance, then turned to Yu Yang. Brat, I understand what you're thinking. Aren't you just trying to knock me unconscious and then secretly save me? This trick is useless against me. Go, a veteran dying with glory, this is the best ending. Yu Yang, who had level 3 divine vision, could see the truth. This old man, this famous General Daofeng, other than being poisoned, he had even more serious injuries. His body was already very old, and with the addition of his injuries, it made his body, which was strong enough to not collapse, become extremely weak. Furthermore, he had received a fatal blow from the enemy, and his entire internal organs were severely injured. Being poisoned, to him, was only a superficial symptom. Even if the poison was completely expelled, with this kind of body, it was estimated that he wouldn't be able to live for another month. This point was probably the real reason why the old man refused to take the medicine to survive. After seeing the truth, a strange feeling suddenly arose in Yu Yang's heart. Could it be that there was really no way to cure him? The white jade beetle, in addition to innate qi, could expel the poison and heal his injuries at the same time. Using innate qi, a breakthrough in the understanding of medical treatment might be right in front of him. This was the best chance. Anyway, he could only treat a dead horse as a living one. Yu Yang felt that, maybe, he could try. Chapter 132. Honestly speaking, Yu Yang was definitely not a great person. He had always kept a respectful distance from people who disregarded his own safety, acted bravely for a just cause, and sacrificed himself to save others. At any time, the first person he would think of would be himself. After that, he would think of his loved ones like Fourth Mother and Yu Bing. For his own secrets, he would lie to his loved ones and use white lies to cover himself. However, for his loved ones, he would also kill his way into the Yu clan castle and become enemies with the Yu clan, one of the 4 great clans. Even if he had to become enemies with the whole world, he would not hesitate. However, if it was only because of a few strangers he had never met before. Even if these people were very respectable and great, Yu Yang would not treat them the same way. He would acknowledge the dedication of the veterans, and he would also praise their attitude of not facing death and return. He would even admire this kind of soul-stirring and blood-boiling magnificent feat from the bottom of his heart, but it did not mean that he would do it. Forget about the fact that he didn't have the ability to save all 3,000 soldiers at the moment. Even if he had the ability, Yu Yang wouldn't dare to do such a shocking thing when he didn't even have the ability to protect himself. If Yu Yang was already invincible and could heal all 3,000 soldiers with a wave of his hand, he might have done it. However, the current him still didn't have that kind of ability. The world was filled with all kinds of competitions, survival of the fittest. This was the law of nature. Yu Yang did not want to break it, and he did not have the ability to break it at the moment. He could not change other people's fate. The only thing he could change was himself. He wanted to become the winner of the survival of the fittest. He wanted to become stronger, stronger than anyone else. Only then would he have the ability to control his own fate, and even have the ability to protect his loved ones. Under the urging of the black-armored eagle-eyed man, Yu Yang walked away. However, after walking a few steps, Yu Yang stopped again. General Dao Feng, if you need, I can try to heal your injuries or try to heal a few of your designated people. First of all, I have no medical knowledge. Yu Yang had already started to walk away, but in the end, he still turned around and stood in front of the old man. He said those words not because he was moved, nor because he admired Yu Yang, but because Yu Yang suddenly felt that he was not a war machine that followed principles as the highest order, but a human with flesh and blood. Some things might not be done well. He did not have to do it, but at the very least, he had to have the heart to try. Sometimes, Yu Yang felt that he was quite complicated and contradictory, but he felt that it was more interesting to live freely and freely as he pleased. You can have principles, but you can't always follow a dead end. Besides, asking doesn't mean that the other party will accept it. This is just a token of my sincerity. The old man laughed and waved his hand. Very well, I understand what you're thinking. Ha ha ha. I didn't think that I would be able to see such an interesting child before I die. I'm dying of laughter. You don't know any medical skills. How are you going to save people? But, I understand, and at the same time, I'm very happy. This is the difference between us humans and demons. If a demon general falls to the ground, there is no saving him. The demons in the demon abyss will not hesitate to eat the dying demon general, and turn the demon general's energy into their own energy. To be honest, that method is more reasonable. But, I still prefer this foolish behavior of us humans, ha. Brat, I'll be honest with you. Actually, this is nothing. Do you know how many people have died in wars since ancient times? If you have been on the battlefield and seen thousands upon thousands of soldiers, layer upon layer, falling in front of you, their corpses piled up like a small mountain, then your heart will become numb. How can there be no deaths in war? If humans want to survive, they must compete, they must fight. Death is also a part of the competition. 3,000 of us died from poisoning, but using our bodies as bait, we successfully lured several 1mo demons. Our deaths were not unjust. Long before we lured the enemy, we already knew this would be the result. So, it doesn't matter. Let us old fellows leave quietly. We are old, the contribution we can make for the country is already not much. This is our last honor. After listening, Yu Yang was silent. Brat, if you don't want to be eliminated in the competition like us, then you must remember one thing, and that is to become stronger. Become stronger than anyone else. The old man gave Yu Yang one last sentence. Yu Yang nodded slightly. He lowered his head and pondered for a long time. Finally, he came in front of the old lady doctor. He took out the white jade beetle from his backpack and asked softly, "Doctor, I found this in the demon abyss. Can you tell me what is this?" Seeing this, the old lady doctor's expression changed greatly. She hurriedly told Yu Yang to keep the white jade beetle. "Child, don't use this to save people. This is very scary. On the surface, this type of beetle is the same as the golden sacred beetle. They both have healing and detoxifying properties, but inside their bodies, there is a terrifying demon sealed inside. Some peak martial artists can't be killed. They can use various methods to reincarnate. In order to prevent them from reincarnating, the more powerful peak martial artists will seal their opponents, sealing them in all kinds of objects or creatures. When Yu Yang heard this, his heart jumped in fright. Seal? He immediately thought of Queen Fei Wenli. She was the Serpent Empress who was sealed inside the black jade necklace. Her strength was unimaginably strong. Even without a physical body, her ability could send Yu Yang out of the black hole. He never thought that after the black jade necklace, this white jade beetle would also have a peak-level warrior sealed inside its body. Luckily he didn't use it to save people, otherwise it would be terrible. When Yu Yang thought of this, he was so scared that he broke out in cold sweat. If he released a human peak-level warrior, then it would be fine. But if he released a demon peak-level warrior, then he would be in big trouble. This seemingly harmless white jade beetle was actually so terrifying? My teacher once mentioned that there are a total of 5 layers to a warrior's seal. The most basic seal is an animal-type seal. The seal itself needs animals to absorb energy in order to maintain it for a long time, just like your white jade beetle. Next is the plant type, treasure type, crystal type, and space type. The most terrifying seal is said to be the space type. It is unimaginable that such a powerful peak-level warrior would be able to create a space like a black hole, throw his opponent inside, and then seal the entire black hole, causing his opponent to be in a state of eternal destruction. Unless the person who sealed the seal is killed, no other power can break through this kind of space. This kind of unbreakable eternal seal is called Nirvana seal. As for the white jade beetle's seal, it is called soul imprisonment. In Tong Tian Tower's 8th floor and above, after those rankers defeat their opponents, they would usually use this method to make their opponents disappear. When the old lady doctor said this, Yu Yang broke out in cold sweat again. The seal that Queen Vivian Li was sealed in seemed to be the highest level space type, Nirvana seal. How can we kill the demon inside the seal? Yu Yang hurriedly asked for the method. Before the sealed rancor uses up all of its energy, I don't know of any way to kill it. But if we wait until the sealed rancor uses up all of its energy, this white jade beetle will slowly die, and the demon sealed inside will die along with it. So, it's best not to let it absorb energy from the outside world, and also not to use it to save people. Otherwise, once the seal's energy is used up, the demon sealed inside will escape. The old lady doctor's words made Yu Yang feel that he had picked up a hot potato. He couldn't throw it away now, but he also couldn't not throw it away. Suddenly, the teleportation spell flashed with a white light. A middle-aged warrior, whose entire body was flashing with a brilliant halo of light, flew over. His voice was like thunder that shook the earth. Everyone, leave this place. When the old lady doctor saw this, her expression darkened and she muttered, Elder Tian Suo? So His Majesty has gone to beg the Floating Mist sect again. This time, it seems that the national treasure, White Dragon Pearl, has fallen into the hands of the Floating Mist sect. Sigh, it seems that the Floating Mist sect has become even more powerful. The Xia kingdom is in danger. Tian Suo, what are you doing here? I don't need your treatment, scram immediately. The old man scolded loudly. It was your Xia Emperor who personally went to beg sect leader Bai Yun. Sect leader Bai Yun took pity on the common people, so he sent me here. Do you think that I'm very willing to come and save scum like you? Those who are not involved leave immediately. I will only use the holy light summon once. Whether you are saved or not has nothing to do with me. The middle-aged warrior, whose entire body was flashing with a brilliant halo of light, laughed arrogantly as he replied. He then let out a thunderous roar that shook the hearts of everyone present, causing their heads to buzz. I said, I don't need your treatment. Scram. The old man struggled angrily, wanting to stand up. However, his bodyguards held him down with tears in their eyes. Dao Feng, 200 years have passed. Look at what you have become. Do you think that you are still the invincible General Dao Feng? You are now just a pitiful old dog. Even one of my fingers is much stronger than you. Do you think that you can still roar at me like you did in the past? 200 years have passed. Have you still not learned to respect the strong? It's all right, I will forgive you. Who asked you to be my friend in the past? The middle-aged warrior, Elder Tian Suo, whose entire body was flashing with a brilliant halo of light, first summoned a platinum grimoire. Then, he quickly summoned a gigantic golden drum and struck it. With a loud rumble, all the soldiers in the entire drill ground fainted. Even Yu Yang felt as if his head had been hit by someone. His eardrums were in pain and his head was buzzing. This golden drum was similar to the Bloody Queen's banshee scream. They both used sound waves to subdue the enemy. However, it was different from the Bloody Queen's scream. The Bloody Queen could not use the banshee scream for a long period of time. Moreover, the more heavily injured she was, the more powerful her scream would be. The golden drum was a treasure. As long as Elder Tian Suo, who was shining with a brilliant halo of light, had enough spiritual energy, he could beat it endlessly. In the entire drill ground, other than the old lady doctor, the eagle-eyed man and Yu Yang, including the heavily injured old General Dao Feng, everyone else fell to the ground. The weakest soldiers had already been shaken to the point where their eardrums bled, and they fainted from their heavy injuries. Are you here to save people or to kill people? The eagle-eyed man angrily took out his huge sword and pounced towards Elder Tian Suo like a mad tiger. With just you? You are not my opponent at all. Elder Tian Suo's face, which was shining with a brilliant halo of light, smiled proudly. He summoned a giant white python and shot it through the air. At the same time, it opened its bloody mouth, intending to swallow the eagle-eyed man in one bite. The eagle-eyed man was attacked in midair. He instinctively leaped up and avoided the deadly swallow. He did not expect the white python to be so cunning. After missing its bite, its huge tail swept towards him. The eagle-eyed man was swept away by the terrifying force and smashed into the wall with a rumbling sound. His body smashed through the walls of the medical center on all four sides, broke a pillar halfway through, and fell onto the mountain rocks on the other side. As for the silver-ranked level 8 python, after its attack succeeded, it still chased after him relentlessly. Elder Tian Suo looked at the old lady doctor and said, "My condition for saving people is to take your life. So, you can die now." The old lady doctor smiled indifferently. "I had already guessed that you would propose such a condition. You have always been this kind of person. Once you have the chance, you will kill everyone. Elder Tian Suo, no matter how strong you are still not the best candidate to climb to the top of the rankers. Because you do not have the heart of a true ranker. Stop talking nonsense. No matter what you say, you are definitely going to die today." Elder Tian Suo summoned a monster whose lower body looked like fog and ordered it to fly towards the old lady doctor. The old lady doctor smiled and lightly shook her head. Then, she closed her eyes. She did not resist at all, only closing her eyes and waiting for her death. The fog monster did not immediately kill the old lady doctor. Instead, it released a large amount of white fog, wrapping her up. It seemed like it was preparing to use the cruelest method to suffocate her to death. In the end, Elder Tian Suo even used a quarter of the whites of his eyes to look at Yu Yang. He seemed to be a little curious as to why this insect-like weakling could still stand. Yu Yang would definitely not sit and wait for his death. However, no matter what kind of opponent it was, including terrifying existences like the Demon King Ha Xin or the Lich King Grun, he would definitely not retreat. Yu Yang knew that he had met the strongest human enemy he had ever met. This guy was using saving people as an excuse to kill the remaining elders of the Xia Empire, such as the old General Dao Feng and the old lady doctor. As for himself, He was merely a passerby who had seen something he shouldn't have seen and wanted to kill him to silence him. Seeing Yu Yang slowly raise his Hui Jin magic blade with a face full of cold fighting intent, Elder Tian Sua laughed out loud. Am I seeing things? Instead of killing yourself, you still want to fight back? Elder Tian Sua, whose entire body was shining brightly, looked as if he had seen the funniest thing in the world, as he laughed out loud towards the sky. If you want to fight, then I'll fight. Yu Yang snorted coldly. Purple flames surged out of the Hui Jin magic blade. A student from the academy also wants to challenge me? I really can't help but admire your foolish courage. Annoying little insect, die for me. Elder Tiansa summoned an ox-head warrior, who was holding a blood-red axe, then waved his hand and ordered, chop this little insect into 18 pieces, not one more, not one less. Yu Yang had seen many arrogant people before, but he had never seen a strong warrior as arrogant as this Elder Tian Sua. The corner of Yu Yang's lips curled into a smile. The more arrogant his enemy was, the more he looked down on him, the higher his chances of winning would be. Hui Tai Lang was enraged as he roared towards the sky. The demonic aura on his body exploded as black flames exploded. His aura was as if a demon king had descended. Although he was only silver-ranked level 4, he ignored the difference in levels and directly released his pressure towards the silver-ranked level 6 Oxhead warrior. At first, the Oxhead warrior was actually scared by Hui Tai Lang and took a big step back. However, it soon discovered that Hui Tai Lang's level was far lower than its own, causing it to roar in anger. Rumble, the Oxhead warrior's hooves crushed the stone surface of the plaza, causing broken rocks to fly as it charged towards them. When the Oxhead warrior leapt into the air, and was about to swing its axe down, Yu Yang also leapt into the air angrily, charging towards the Oxhead warrior's chest. He did not show any mercy in his attacks, aiming to heavily injure the Oxhead warrior with one strike. His binding, inherent skill was instantly activated, restricting the Oxhead warrior's movements. Under the cover of the purple flames created by the Hui Jin magic blade in his right hand, the innate invisible sword chi on his left index finger shot out, mercilessly slashing across the Oxhead warrior's eyes. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.